Get across there, put your tails up there. We came down this way.
Good afternoon, a very warm welcome to Stirling for the UCI World Championship Under-23 men's time trial. We're here in Stirling, at Stirling Castle, one of Scotland's most important sites historically. It has got a rich history, and we're going to enjoy bringing you this Under-23 time trial this afternoon. The riders facing 36.2 kilometres of racing to decide where the rainbow bands go. And it's a testing course ending with this uphill rise to the finish line over the cobbled section that takes them to the top of the rise above Stirling and right up here at Stirling Castle, dating back to early in the 11th century and was central to the Scottish monarchy until the union of the crowns with England in 1603. So this is a real stronghold of where Scottish royalty was based, and we're looking forward to who's going to stand on the top step of the podium. We'll take a look here at a little bit of the preparations of today's race. But in the meantime, let's explain to you how this race is undertaken by the riders. Well, it seems simple. You make your way off the start line, you cover the 36.2 kilometres, and the fastest rider across the line takes the victory at the end of the time trial. We've got a lot of riders who will be taken to the start. And our first rider will be rolling down that start ramp very shortly. The first rider starting at 2:39 and 30 seconds. So we're not too far away from that first rider making their way down this start ramp and getting this time trial underway. And the first rider will be from Australia, Alistair McKellar. He will be in the green and gold of Australia as he makes his way off the start and gets into that time trial nice and quickly. This is the area where the riders warm up before the race starts. A chance for them just to keep the legs turning over until they get their call. Let's take a look at the course map. 36.2 kilometres of racing, making their way out of the course through the intermediate split number 1. That's where we'll get an indication of how the riders are doing in this first section. Then we make our way down through Gargunnock to the intermediate split 2. Cambusbarron is the next intermediate split, and then back into Stirling, and then this pretty fearsome rise actually up to the top of this climb. That will be a real test of how the riders have paced themselves throughout this individual time trial. Those of you who've never seen a time trial before, welcome along. This is the race of truth. It's yourself and your bike against the elements and the distance, and the fastest rider will take the gold medal and the rainbow bands as the winner of this time trial. So there's a hive of activity before we get this first rider going in around about 4 minutes' time. I'm Anthony McCrossan. Thanks for joining me. Alongside me is a rider who's been a Commonwealth Games medalist and also is currently the sports director of one of the most successful under-23 teams in the world, Trinity Racing. A very warm welcome and good afternoon to John Mould.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me. Really looking forward to a strong test for the riders today. As you've just gone through that course, that final climb is going to be the magic and the real test, and to see who's got those legs for that final. A deserved winner, whatever happens. But this course really out there to finish them off. If you've got anything left, you need to use it. If
you've got anything left at the bottom of this climb, then hopefully you can use it to your advantage. But if you've paced this time trial wrong, it could be your absolute undoing this afternoon, couldn't it?
It really could. It's you already called it the race of truth, but that if people go too deep and then there's no hiding, there's no time for recovery, you'll hit the bottom, and those cobbles, they're a good strong test. Rough cobbles, you wouldn't want to be riding up them with that fatigue in your legs. So anything can happen. That final climb could change the whole race.
We're looking forward to that then, and we have got young riders here, under 23, but now cycling's changed quite a lot. So you've got riders under 23 who've won the Tour de France pretty much. So this race is becoming a race more of even younger riders who are looking to put themselves into that shop window to be signed by a World Tour team. The pressure on some of these riders that they build themselves can be quite immense, can't it?
Yeah, the pressure is huge. And now some of these riders already have signed World Tour contracts. They're already riding for World Tour teams. But it is up to the others. This is the chance to show what they've got, get the attention of these big teams, and hopefully move on. So today, it's an under-23 race, but in the next year or 3 years, these could be riders that we'll be watching at the Tour de France, at the Giro d'Italia, and even winning the elite time trial in a few years' time.
We're looking forward then to finding out about these riders. The last little bits of preparation. Our first rider then, John, is going to be Alistair McKellar. Now, he's going early, but he's no slouch when it comes to a time trial.
No. Current Australian road race and time trial under-23 champion. And a really strong climber. Just up there on a podium of Val d'Aosta. Obviously, no big mountains here as compared with that region of Italy. But you'll use that similar effort. It's full gas for around just over 30 minutes. So he's definitely got some legs. Experience. It might be like a very good thing to go early. He gets that ride out of the way. It might be a long time sat in the hot seat if he really does a good ride, but he gets out of the way. No nerves, done, and then just hope you can hang on.
Let's see how long he hangs on then. He might hang on all the way through the afternoon. This is Alistair McKellar. Welcome along to this individual time trial. He's on the start line. Really interestingly, the riders are going to go every 1 minute and 15 seconds, which I've never ever seen in an individual time trial before, so it's a little bit unique. We'll get you through the intermediate time splits. This is Alistair McKellar just about to go. You can hear the beeps in the background, and he's going to get his final countdown. He's done his warm-up, and he's about to get underway. The commissaires will be standing alongside as always. They will make sure that he goes off the start at the right time. He looks ready, he looks focused.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Underway for the first rider, Alistair McKellar of Australia. Gets himself immediately off that start ramp and gets into that aero tuck. The next rider to go will be Bilal Al-Saidi from Qatar. We watch our first rider go. Tell us a little bit about the opening sections of this course and how important it is to get this first part of the course right.
So there isn't that much wind today, around 12 kilometres, and some gusts here or there, but it looks like it's going to be a headwind on the way out of the course, and then you do that loop, as we'll see as the race goes on. And then on the way back, it'll be a prevailing tailwind all the way into the finish. So early on, it's going to be important to settle into your rhythm. It is 36 kilometres of racing. You don't want to go too hard, but early on, they really need to commit. Get up to speed where they can and try and hold that for as long as possible.
Here's our next rider about to go. Rider from Qatar. Qatar's hosted the World Championships previously. And this rider is just about to go off the start ramp. So quickly we'll get our way through these initial riders. Here he goes. And Al-Saidi gets himself immediately off and into that aero tuck as quickly as he possibly can. All the aerodynamic equipment he's got on that bike. Absolutely incredible scenery around here. You've got the backdrop of Stirling with all the hillsides in the background. It looks like the weather conditions should be pretty favourable to us. There's been some pretty famous battles around here, not just this individual time trial. And, of course, importantly, the Battle of Bannockburn is probably the most important battle that's ever been held here, which was led by Robert the Bruce. Into his initial part of this time trial, our Qatari rider. And our next rider to go is Timofil Preko, riding for Ukraine. Ukrainian riders have all been supported a lot by the UCI to enable them to ride these championships. Bronze medalist in the national championships, and gets going then for his start of his time trial. Choice of equipment, how important is it for this individual time trial?
Now it really is important. You look at the different choices, you'll see riders having the aerodynamic bars. You want to, in a simple terms, you want to be as small at the front as possible. You want to push the least amount of wind and produce the most amount of power you can do. So with that, with your body position being as low as possible, obviously you want to, if you see now, you want your head as low as possible, but that'll affect the way you pedal and the amount of power you can get out. So it's always a balance between the both. But in cycling, we always talk about watts per kilo on a climb. It's one of those golden numbers. It's the term that everyone knows about, but watts per kilo is more important on a climb. Obviously, gravity takes that. Whereas here, it would be CDA, which is the drag you're creating and the power you're able to do. So on a simple term, power and being as small and slippery and get cut through the air as easy as possible.
This rider is about to go. This is Samet Bulut riding for Turkey. And when you talk about the slipperiness of the rider through the air, they've got to think about the way the skin suit is configured, what they wear on their feet and everything. We look at this Turkish rider and we think back to Alistair McKellar at the start, who looked like everything was tailored and perfect. You would probably notice a few little things here of this rider that could be improved.
Yeah, already you can see just simply on the tri-bars at the front, he's really low. But if we saw McKellar as he rolled off, his tri-bars, his hands were higher up. That obviously makes that area, the frontal area, smaller than now. Then you're already down. Your wind is, it's easy when you go swimming. When you compare it with water, it's the same principle really in cycling. It's just air that you can't see. So I used to put my hand out of the window in a car, and if you lay your hand flat, it doesn't get pushed back. If you hold it straight or flat, your hand gets almost ripped off or pulled back. So
you've got to think about all the frontal area and how you can make that as aerodynamic as possible. As our next rider goes, Filip Loinski, riding for Slovakia. These roads that these riders are on, for me, they are just traditional Scottish roads. You can see just the rolling hillsides that they're going to have to deal with today. How do these riders pace themselves? Because we talk sometimes about pacing strategies as we go out to our Australian rider, who clearly is committed, like you said. You can see the speed that he's got compared to the other riders already. But how do they pace themselves? Is it just their own feeling? Are they looking at the head unit they've got on? Is it the gear they know they can turn? Because the best time trialists are able to pace themselves.
Especially early on with the head unit now, you can use your power. You know what you can do. You've done enough testing. You've done recons of the course. So if you ride at a specific power early on, you know you can control that. And then at the end, it is just whatever you've got left. And the best riders can get it out and what they need to do.
This is Etienne Touizet riding for Rwanda. African cycling growing all the time. And we will be in Rwanda for the World Championships in a couple of years' time. Nice crowd here at the start in Stirling, appreciative of the starting efforts of all these riders. Gets himself immediately into that aero tuck. It's a nice start here, isn't it, John? Because sometimes we see, and it happens so often, we see the start of a time trial, they come off the ramp, they have to take a right-hander or a left-hand turn. Here, the configuration of this course has been laid out nicely, so you come off the start ramp and you can go straight into your aero tuck.
Yeah, it's a straight line from the start. The first right-hand corner is after 7 kilometres, so you're on the same road for that amount of time. No need to get out of the skis, to brake, to look at the corners, settle into your rhythm. And it is quite unique. Normally in Grand Tours you see that technical start through the town, but here straight onto the road and straight into your effort.
Our next rider to go will be Goncalo Tavares, who comes from Portugal. In the next group of riders, is there anyone we should be looking out for?
Tavares would be one, 18-year-old, riding for one of the best development teams, Hagen Burmans. Portugal road race champion and a silver medalist in the time trial, but he is a first-year senior. So that's always a good indication when they step up from the junior rank to go straight into winning an under-23 title. Shows there's talent there, and it'll be interesting to see what he can do today.
Well, there are some pretty impressive areas around here to take a little bit of a look at as we fly overhead. This is the Wallace Monument. Stirling was chosen as the location for this monument after his success at the Battle of Stirling Bridge in 1297, when the Scots defeated a larger and more experienced English army, and immortalised, of course, in the film Braveheart. Settling into the rhythm then for the start of Goncalo Tavares. Next, the start of Tavares, and then we'll go with the next few riders to go after that. So Tavares is a member of this development team, and there's a few development teams in the world now that are kind of highlighted as the squads that bring through the really talented youngsters. One of them is the team you work with, which is Trinity, which was really set out for Tom Pidcock, wasn't it, in the past, but now is continued and is trying to develop as many riders as possible. The Hagens Berman team is one of those squads that has been renowned for finding the best under-23 talent and developing them, hasn't it? As we just see the start of the Mexican rider, Jose Muniz, who's about to go.
5, 4, 3.
Let's get him off the start line and underway for Jose Muniz. Hagens Bermans, then, they are renowned for finding the best young riders.
They really are, along with Trinity Racing. I know I'm biased, two of one of the really big development teams. They're not part of the World Tour development teams. At the moment, a lot of the World Tour teams now have a development team. So, in a way, that gives Trinity and Hagen Bermans a bit of an advantage. We can hopefully push our riders, move them up. It's always about pushing the riders and moving them forward in their careers. So if we can, we have all the World Tour teams can look. Where sometimes you feel those development teams, the World Tour team have their first pick. Of course they do. They can also now guess them onto their teams for lower level races, not World Tour races. So they get a chance to see them. But Hagen Berman's now been around for a long time in different capacities, and of course Trinity Racing.
This is Jacob Schembri riding for Malta.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
The start of our Maltese rider. Settling himself into his time trial. Everything about these riders, when we look, the aerodynamic socks and everything they've got here. We look here at the Australian rider. His choice of equipment seems to be really well drilled, doesn't it, this afternoon?
Yeah, the Australians are renowned for having good positions and good equipment. The skin suit, you had a little bit of a close-up on the skin suit there, kind of like a golf ball effect on the sleeves, and that helps wind movement and everything that comes with that. There's so much going on, so much technical aspects, and when you look at the elites as we move in, the World Tour teams spend weeks and months in wind tunnels testing so much different equipment, and different equipment works with different riders. It isn't a one-size-fits-all.
It used to be that everyone thought it was one-size-fits-all. This is Maxim Taraskin riding for the Kazakhstan team. And the Kazakhstan riders, their immediate move is hopefully into Astana, isn't it?
Yeah, and currently in Astana development rider. We talked about the feeder teams that they have, but he's Kazakhstan TT champion, under 23 as well, 19 years old, first year under 23. So already we have some good riders coming off. It'll be up to them to set the benchmark for everyone else to come.
Our next rider to go, as we just take a look here at Bilal Al-Sadi. He's got some good equipment on this bike, hasn't he? We look at this setup he's got.
And even an aerodynamic bottle. You can see just there. All these little things, all these little touches make the difference. As much as you can do, it is still, you're still pedaling a bike. There's still, the engine is their legs, so they have to do the hard work with their legs, whatever.
Onto the start line then for Dean Harvey. He rides for Ireland. Just about to get himself into this time trial. Again, 1 minute 15 second interval for Dean Harvey before he goes. A rider, John, you know well.
Yeah, really well. Dean, part of the Trinity Racing setup. So, all set up there, you can see He spends quite a bit of time on his time trial bike as much as he can. A multi-discipline rider as well. National Irish cyclocross champion. And races a bit of mountain bike here and there. Obviously, I think his love and his passion is more on the road now. But it'd be interesting to see what Dean can do. Obviously, starting off, he really needs to settle in. And that finishing climb can suit him. So if he hasn't used all his energy before he hits that cobbled climb, he might have a chance to move up.
Let's look forward then to see how he does out there on the course. Dean Harvey, a member of that Trinity Racing setup. He's had some good top 10 results this season already. And he'll settle himself into this time trial and get himself going as we wait for the start of Ivan Romeo, who rides for Spain. Here he is, up there on the start line, the next rider to go. We'll also bring you up to date with all the intermediate time splits as we see the riders go through the various points on the course this afternoon. So our Spanish rider, Ivan Romeo, underway and gets himself into the aero setup as quickly as possible. A rider, as we can see there, who's got the Movistar Aero socks. So a rider who's definitely moving up in the ranks already.
Yep. So, as we touched on, former rider of Hagen Berman, and this year already with the World Tour setup in Movistar. Already ridden the mixed relay yesterday with the Spanish team, finishing 11th. So it'll be interesting to see what he's got left in his legs. It would have been a hard effort yesterday, but then it wasn't too long. It's almost like a perfect pre-race ride. Open everything up, see what you've got. But it'd be interesting to see today if it's taken too much out of him.
You talked about how you need to get low and to keep the frontal area. He has a unique position. You
can really see, it's easy to look at there how small the gap is between his head and his hands. It really is, in simple terms, that's what the main aim is. You could go into a lot more detail, but that's the most important.
Anderson Arboleda, riding for Colombia, gets going. So many riders making their way off the start line. The first rider has got to the intermediate time split. Alistair McKellar, average speed of 49.155 kilometres an hour through the first time split at 12.6 kilometres. Now, we were talking right at the start about the fact that there's a headwind on the way out. To reach there at 50k an hour is pretty impressive.
Yeah, it really shows the level of speed for all the riders. And as I said earlier, 7k is the first right-hander. And the first real drag for the riders is just after that intermediate time check at around the 13-kilometre mark. That's into a left-hander. But mostly, other than that, it's flat and fast. And the strong time trialers here will be loving this course.
The issue then, though, comes when you get suddenly from this flat road, as we see our next rider to go, Li Tiancheng, riding for China. You go from flat roads, full on, flat out, and then suddenly you hit this ramp on cobbles. And I can understand why you're saying this could be the undoing of a rider who potentially could win gold. Suddenly it all goes wrong. Because you get that feeling sometimes when you come off a flat road onto a climb like that you don't have any legs left.
No, you really don't. And if you have wasted them and used them up, definitely the finishing cobble climb is a brute. You want to hit there as fresh as possible, but not too fresh because you'd be too far behind. You need to be in a close proximity to your rivals. But early on, you just need to settle into your rhythm, settle to the power you know you can do. Stay calm, not panic, and just trust the process that you know you can do. A lot of these riders, obviously still under 23, still learning a lot as they go through, and they learn so much more at the World Championships. It means so much more at the World Championships. You're in a hotel with stars that you've looked up to when you were a kid. So when you come to a World Championships, there's a lot more nerves, a lot more pressure, and the riders who are able to deal with that the best, not let it bother them. It bothers everyone. There's no denying that it wouldn't. So the riders who can deal with it and do the best they can They're the ones that really step up, show us what they can do, and they're the ones that usually step up to higher levels onto bigger things.
The Qatar rider, Bilal Al-Sadi, has reached the intermediate split. 1 minute 57 seconds down on Alistair McKellar, who's riding strongly so far for Australia. Just to explain the graphics to you, you can see there on the bottom left, you've got 26.7 or 26.6 now as a distance to go, and then the time elapsed on the right-hand side. Of the first kind of group of riders, we've talked about Alistair McKellar as a favourite. Who do you see as we look at Jonathan Verven? Now, he's going to go in around about 10 minutes' time. Who do you see as the key riders that we should really watch out for in this, say, the first 25 riders that we are going to see started? We just get the glimpse here of, I think, Ruben Lopez. I'm just checking. Now, Michael Leonard of Canada now. Canadian rider underway. Who should we watch out for apart from Alistair McKellar, Goncalo Tavares? Who do you see as the favourites to be sitting in the hot seat after the first 25, 30 riders?
To be honest, McKellar is going to be one of the ones to beat early on. Obviously, he goes first, but as the riders go off the starting ramp, you have Callum Thornley, GB rider, local rider. He knows the road. He's close enough to do enough recons of it. It'll be interesting to see how he's really prepared for this race. But just after Thornley is Lorenzo Milesi of Italy. He's currently riding for DSM World Tour team, and he won a stage of Tour de l'Avenir, which is the under-23 version of the Tour de France last year. Just come out of Tour of Poland, which is a World Tour race, so he's definitely prepared in the best preparation he can. So it'd be interesting. The Italian, definitely one to watch in this early group.
This is the Dutch rider who's going to ride for Intermarché Circus 1T next season, Raoul van Sint Maartensdijk. Looks like he's got a pretty decent setup here. He's already on the World Tour bike of the Intermarché team. And that big stacker setup on the front to get his area as low as it can go. Weirdly, high to go low.
Yeah, high to go small, I think, is the best now. Okay. You try and think small at the front. If it's higher, it doesn't really matter. It's just about where you're going to push the wind through. But as you can see, that bar full of chalk already, chosen the no mitts, which seems to be really popular at the moment. But liquid chalk all over his hands for the grip. Always quite a scary one. You don't want to put bar tape on. If you look at bar tape, that affects the wind. So you want the bars to be as smooth and as fast as possible. It's not just the rider, it's all the equipment that all comes together.
Confirmation on the bottom right. McKellar leads through the first intermediate time slip. 1:18 is his lead on Filip Loinski, the Slovakian rider. Next rider to go will be Enzo Poleni, riding for France. French rider about to roll down the start ramp and get underway. They've got a couple of decent riders in here. He rides for Groupama already.
Yep, Groupama FDJ World Tour team as well. Stepped up from the Continental Development team. And already just had a quick glance of him pressing his computer, setting off. Shows how important it is now. They spend more time looking at the computers. And you have to follow your watts and do your plan.
This is the rider you were talking about a moment ago. So Lorenzo Milesi, 10th in this race in 2022. And he's been a bronze medalist in the European Championships. He's a useful time trialist, isn't he?
Really is a useful time trialist. A strong rider. And when they have that experience, when they're able to ride at the World Tour level in these big races and prepare for an under-23 World Championships, a lot of the time it gives them that bit of advantage on a development rider. Can work negatively. They might have been riding on the front, doing their job. Obviously, they're not the protected riders at World Tour level, so they spend a lot of the time as top teammates.
Stepan Telecki riding for the Czech Republic. Good start for him. Not choosing the aero bottle on the bike, though. Seems to have a nice setup. but choosing with a normal round bottle in his bottle cage.
A little adjustment of his helmet there. It's always difficult. You start off, you want to try and get as comfortable as possible. When it comes down to the end of the race, if that helmet's jumping around and annoying you, touching your nose all the time, you're not be able to move it then. So settle in. Those little adjustments, almost sometimes for some people, are just a nervous reaction. They want to fiddle with the helmet, make sure it's in the right place.
Ivan Romeo working his way along through this beautiful countryside this afternoon. Welcome along. This is the Under-23 World Championship time trial. The riders going at 1 minute 15-second intervals. Our fastest rider so far at the first intermediate split is Alistair McKellar. We're about to get started with Ole Tyler, who rides for Germany. The countdown to the race start for Ole Tyler. Good start for him. Down this start ramp and gets himself into the aero tuck as quickly as he possibly can. Really concentrated, making sure he gets the head tucked down behind those hands as fast as he can.
Yep. Bronze medalist in the time trial, German under-23, and silver medalist in the road race. Consistent rider. Obviously, could be a good shout for the weekend road race as well as the time trial today.
A lot of these riders will be riding the road race at the weekend. This is the Battle of Bannockburn visitor experience. I talked earlier on about the Battle of Bannockburn. Here you can go and you can have an interactive 3D visit around the battle area. Very famous in this particular region. Here's our next rider about to start. Jan Christen rides for Switzerland. This rider has been spotted, John, already at World Tour level.
Yeah, already signed a long-term contract with UAE all the way until 2028. Already a stage win at the Giro Next Generation. So one to watch. Obviously, might not be a pick for the medals today, but in the future, he might be riding the Tour de France in support of certain Tadej Pogacar.
Gustav Wang. About to put himself onto the start line. Gustav Wang is a rider who has already come to prominence in the World Championships before. He won the Junior Time Trial World Championships. I noticed on the caption it said under-23, and I was thinking, I don't remember him winning this title already. I'm pretty sure it was a juniors. Let's go to Hamish Mackenzie. Another possible big performance from this rider for Australia this afternoon. Hamish Mackenzie of Australia underway. This rider's got already been noticed by World Tour teams.
Yep. Stagiaire or trainee with Jaco Alula. Every year they have World Tour teams can sign 2 trainees in the middle of the season around August time. So once they get that, it's almost a test or a what's the right word for it?
Being a student or an intern, probably.
Apprenticeship, basically. Apprenticeship with a World Tour team.
Going through the intermediate split number 2. This is Alistair McKellar. He's just gone through there in 27 minutes 59.57, setting the tempo for everyone else to face. 49.5 kilometres an hour. What do we think of his current trajectory along this course? What you would have expected, that sort of close to 50k an hour?
Looking very smooth, and you saw on that shot then over that little drag, stayed in the skis the whole time, in the tri-bars, not in any issue, just dropped a few of the gearings just to keep that pedaling, but looking comfortable so far.
Viggo Moore of the United States of America gets going. Good time trialist Viggo Moore. Gets himself into the aero skis as quickly as he possibly can. He looks quick already.
He's definitely settled in. You saw the riders, some of them taking their time into the rhythm, but straight into it for more there. Current USA under-23 time trial champion. Seems like we have the best in the world, which is exactly what you want at a World Championships. Every nation bringing their best riders, picking their strongest riders, and Viggo Moore settling into a fast pace. But it's McKellar who's really testing everyone so far.
He is. He's looking good. We'll see how everybody gets to these intermediate time splits. Alistair McKellar is first through that second split. Ivan Romero out on the course. We go back to the start. This is the rider you were talking about a few moments ago. Callum Thornley with a big home welcome here in Stirling.
Yep, born in Edinburgh and now living in Peebles, not too far from here.
Gets underway, and the crowd will know about this rider. Settles into that aero tuck as quickly as possible. What's his attributes as a rider?
A very strong time trialist, former silver medalist, not this year, the year before in the time trial. But at the moment he's worked with us really well. Someone who's committed to the team as much as he can. So an opportunity like this where he really just needs to get everything out, test himself, see what he can do. We talked about the shop window that is the under-23 category, and this is his chance. So be really looking forward to see what he can do today. He spent enough time on the course. He knows the pacing strategy he's chosen. He knows how to ride it. It's almost, this is it now. This is the crunch time. Let your legs do the talking. See what you can do.
How much do you think home advantage could come into play here?
In some ways it can. It's not a full technical circuit, so it is going to be about raw strength and power.
Here's Lorenzo Milesi, the Italian who John was just outlining as a possible favourite for this afternoon. Milesi gets going. Big start from him. You can see him just trying to get that bike up to speed. Interestingly, getting up to speed, but also staying as low as possible off that line.
Yeah, early on, he didn't even get out the saddle there. Aerodynamics is now, obviously you get out the saddle, you move around, you move your body around, but he chose just to roll off the start line, get it to the tempo that he thinks he can hold, and then straight into the tri-bars. But you can see there with Mackenzie on the screen, look how close his nose is to his hands. And those little things, he's taking a glance up, and it might not look like it, but he's probably around 180 beats a minute now. His heart's thumping out of his chest. He's full gas, but he still has to concentrate, keep his head down, and keep that frontal area as small as possible.
51 kilometres an hour he's just rolling along at here. We can see the tempo, the cadence that he's putting in. Going back to the start line then with Jonathan Verven, the Belgian rider. Now this rider's got some good background in time trialling already, hasn't he?
Yeah, Verven, Belgian time trial champion. And a mountains jersey. In the Val d'Aosta as Verven gets that. His effort, his time trial underway.
Jonathan Verven, fifth in the European Championships as well in the individual time trial. That was last season. European Championships come up a little bit later in the year, in this season, but a rider that we know has got some good time trialling ability. We'll see how he does out on the course. Just to update you on the first intermediate split, Alistair McKellar of Australia leads through that split, 15.86 seconds faster than Ivan Romeo of Spain, and in third place Dean Harvey of Ireland, 16.53 seconds down at the first split. So these three riders ahead of 48.2 kilometres an hour as an average speed. So they're moving nicely along this course so far. Ireland sitting there in third place with Dean Harvey. And Romeo, we would have expected having been being a Movistar rider. And when we get to the second split, we've still only got two riders who've reached there, but the riders will start to approach that point. Gustav Wang of Denmark, a former world champion as a junior. Gustav Wang underway, a very steady start. He's very good at pacing, Gustav Wang, and almost looks like he's just nonchalantly riding off the start line. No real major panic or effort. It's an interesting way that this rider, he's so laid back. Remember, he was a junior rider winning the World Championship. He's very chilled out, very laid back, and he just settles himself in.
Really composed there. No nerves, or not showing any nerves at least. No stress. And those little bits of calmness can help towards the end of the race. Doesn't need to use energy on other things. Just concentrate on riding your bike, settle into your rhythm. A long way to go, and he was very aware that it was a long way to go there.
We look at the front setup of some of these riders, and I just noticed the handlebars that Gustav Wang is riding. They are full carbon fibre bars. They've got the branding of Watt Shop on them, and that is the, as we look here at the setup of this rider with the full UAE team bike setup. But we know that these carbon 3D printed handlebars that Dan Bigham, who is the rider who finished second to Filippo Ganna on the track, has designed with his team. They are seriously good in terms of aerodynamics for a rider.
Yeah,
why is that?
They've spent a lot of time on the research and development. Bigham and Dan are one of the best aerodynamicists in the world, and there's a reason why Team Ineos have now got him involved. And he's been a fundamental part of that, fundamental part of Ganna's hour record on the track, fundamental part of his own hour record before Ganna. But they've spent years, and he's used that knowledge that he has to really push the sport forward. You see all the Watt Shop bars here, there, everywhere now, different nations. It's not just home nation of the UK. It really has spread, and he spent some time with the Danish Team Pursuit team. He's a wanted man in the aerodynamic world, time trial and pursuit world. So
I think he can start to name his price now, can't he? We've got a new fastest time at the first intermediate time split. Michael Leonard of Canada has gone through there with a time that's 1.36 seconds faster than Alistair McKellar. 49.227 kilometres an hour for Michael Leonard this afternoon. There's no surprises there, though. This rider's got some big background.
Yeah, and we just talked about Bigham and his work with Ineos Grenadiers, and what a surprise, Leonard, an Ineos Grenadiers rider as well. So Canadian time trial champion, signed for 3 years up until 2025 with the Ineos Grenadiers. We didn't really see him roll off the start line, but it's still a close battle, only 1.3 seconds in front of McKellar, who set that early benchmark. Be interesting to see what he's got towards the end.
New second fastest time at the second intermediate time split for Tavares as he makes his way around that turn. Fastest to that point is McKellar. 6 riders have reached this second intermediate time split. McKellar's gone through fastest, 1 minute 32 faster than Goncalo Tavares. Lorenzo Milesi of the Italian squads making his way towards the first of the splits. Michael Leonard leads then from Alistair McKellar at the first split, and Roel van Sint Maartensdijk, he is in third place, 15.74 seconds down, pushing then Ivan Romero and Dean Harvey down into 4th and 5th place so far. The arrival of the Polish rider Kadlewicz as he approaches this second intermediate split. New second fastest time for him. So we're starting to see some more challenges towards McKellar's time, but they're still quite a distance off, and we'll have to wait for the riders like Michael Leonard and others to reach that specific point on the route. Gustav Wang is underway. So we've got some big names who are already on the course. We've kind of identified Tavares, Alistair McKellar, Michael Leonard, Jan Christian, Hamish Mackenzie, Lorenzo Milesi, Jonathan Verven and Gustav Wang. Those are the key riders in this first group. It doesn't look like we're going to get any surprises out of those, anyone else who's going to figure so far. And it looks like someone in the hot seat is going to be one of those what's that, 7 or 8 riders who will be in that initial group are going to get this time trial really started.
They sure are, but this first 20-something kilometres of this time trial are pretty simple. The strong riders are going to come to the top. There's no point where really any questions are going to be asked of them. It really is that final climb where you have the finish and really see if anyone's got anything left. When they start coming into the finish line, all these intermediate checks are good, but it is the finish that is the most important.
This is Logan Curry, just warming up. He will be going off the start line a little while later at around about 3:30 in about 12 minutes time, I suppose. Logan Curry, we're looking at there from New Zealand, is a really strong time trialist.
Yeah, really strong. Oceania time trial champion. And you just see him warming up on the rollers there. It wasn't his headphones in. He wasn't listening to music. That was his race radio. So the car behind us is in constant communication with these riders, telling them about danger points, corners coming up, keeping them motivated to the whole way through this time trial. At under 23 level, you can't use them in road races, but in time trialing, you can use them.
So they will have some radio backup between them and the car?
Yeah, so it's sports director will sit behind, keep them in check with the intermediate time checks, keep reminding them of holding their position on the front of their bike, keep reminding them of their pacing. All these little things have that little bit of advantage. It's always nice to have your sports director in your ear. Most of the time it's really nice. Sometimes it's absolute hell.
McKellar's gone through the third split. He's getting towards the bottom of the climb, so not long until we see our first rider get to the finish. Alistair McKellar goes through 31.8 kilometres, 36.2 is the finish line. He's gone through with an average speed still of 49.763 kilometres an hour. This is Milazy, spinning along well on a pretty big gear there on this time trial course. You're one of the sports directors then who sits in a car. How much do you talk into the race radio? If you're sitting behind one of these riders, you say that you'd be telling them hold their position, just giving them little pointers. Is it important to talk a lot or a little, or is every rider different?
Every rider's different. You can have a conversation before. If they want as much information as possible, you can give it to them. It's more about reminding them there's corners and the technical aspects that are coming up, especially if they can hold that position, not need to look up as much as possible. That's as fast as possible they can be. But really warning them about corners coming up is one of the most important things. How many K to go, and just keeping on top of them, keeping them motivated when they need to be, or keep telling them they're either doing a really good job when they are, or telling them they need to up it even more. Some riders, as all athletes across all sports, have their different mentality, what they need and what they want.
This is Dean Harvey at the second intermediate split, 21.96 seconds down on Alistair McKellar. Looking at the performance of this young Irish rider, how do you think he's progressing along the course?
Yeah, really good. Obviously, only 21 seconds down. 15 seconds he lost at the first intermediate time check to McKellar. So holding that pace really well. We did talk about it. He's just quite a bit smaller rider than McKellar, so that final climb, hopefully he can get that 15 seconds back, but there's still a lot of racing to go before then.
Bottom right hand of your screen, Jan Christian has gone through with the fastest time. New fastest intermediate time split at intermediate 1 for Jan Christian. And I think that's about to be updated, because I think it's just been beaten. Hamish Mackenzie has just gone through with the fastest split at the initial time check. 15 minutes, 6.11. The first rider, John, over 50 kilometres an hour.
We talked about his class, trainee with Jaco Alula. But really a close battle. Jan Christian only beating him by 3 seconds.
This is the arrival of Ivan Romeo at the second intermediate time split. Third fastest time for him. It's a little bit of a rocking climb straight after that intermediate split. Right, we're on to the cobbles. This will give you an idea of what it's like up towards the finish line for these riders. This is our first rider coming to the conclusion of this time trial. Alistair McKellar, he's been setting good times out on the course, but you can see how much the bike is bumping around and how you need to get this right all the way to the finish. 200 metres to go for the first rider to complete this individual time trial from Australia, Alistair McKellar. He's almost there now, 150 metres of pain to go. He's doing well to sit in the saddle all the way up towards the top. Finds another gear, a little bit of acceleration on the cobbled section. McKellar is going to post a time that everybody else now needs to chase. There's the finish gantry. There's the conclusion of this time trial. Just manages to get out the saddle just before the top, but you can see just how much those legs are hurting. 50 metres to go now for McKellar. It seems like an eternity. He fits and crosses the line now. 42.88, 48.6 kilometres an hour at the finish line. That looked painful to finish, didn't it?
What a horrible way to finish a time trial. You're already on your limit for the whole time. Whoever organised this really wanted to see some people suffering, because, oh, what a way to finish. And that first chance of seeing that, it's going to be so important, that final climb. People need to have as much left as possible. You can see, no hiding from the race of truth.
There's not, is there? It's a painful conclusion to this time trial with the cobbled section up to the Stirling Castle. Out on the course with Jonathan Vervent. He looks fast, if it's possible to look fast. He certainly looks like he's completing the early stages of this time trial very well. The current situation at the first split, Hamish McKenzie is the leader as we go back out here on the course. Jan Christen second, and in third place Michael Leonard. This rider went through the first split in the 7th fastest time, Roel van Sint Maartensdijk. And there's how he's progressing. He's getting towards the second intermediate split at 23.1 kilometres. The first split's a good indicator, isn't it? But it may not give us the whole story. Although Lorenzo Milesi has just gone through there with the fastest time by 9 seconds on Hamish McKenzie. Very impressive from the Italian. The second rider to reach 50 kilometres an hour, 50.574.
It really is interesting. We had a glance at that final climb, though. Milesi in the World Tour DSM setup. But it's all about what he's got left, that final part of the race. Almost, if he wants to go out and really commit, go full early on, knowing that he might lose a bit of time at that final climb. That might be the best pacing that him and the team have come up with. So it's interesting. We really see, as the race goes on, of where he is in those other intermediate time checks.
Gustav Wang is progressing his way along the course. 25 kilometres to go for Gustav Wang, the Danish rider. Denmark have had some great results in this under-23 time trial. They won it for 3 years running with Mikael Bjerg. This is the arrival of Michael Leonard, the Canadian, to the second intermediate split, chasing the time of Alistair McKellar. We know that he went through the first split with an advantage on McKellar, but only a second or so. Let's see whether he can beat the time, see if he's going quicker. So McKellar's time is going to be beaten by Michael Leonard, starting to take a little bit more time out of Alistair McKellar. 4 seconds as he goes through the second splits. Good ride by him so far. Really good.
Obviously, a first-year senior, stepped straight from junior into the World Tour setup as well. So it's always hard. You look at a rider's results. Of course, he's not going to be setting the world delight as a first year in the World Tour category. But Leonard, really assured ride there. 4 seconds up on McKellar.
They haven't raced him a lot this season. They've seemed to have given him some good experience.
Yeah, they really have looked after him. Leonard and the British rider Josh Tarling both stepped up from junior together into the Ineos Grenadiers setup. Both riders given different opportunities in different races. It's always a difficult one. But I think Ineos Grenadiers are doing it really well. They're developing the riders. They're not just throwing them in, see if they'll sink or swim. And that sometimes can happen with some teams, but they're looking after him. And hopefully this is a real good test. It's an opportunity for him to show himself what he can do.
You're used to working with these young riders, and you've seen them progress through the different ranks as we see the Dutch rider coming up to this second intermediate time split, chasing the time of Michael Leonard. Doesn't look like he's going to eclipse that time. The time's gone by. We'll see whether he can find a little bit more speed. Roel van Sint-Maartensdijk. Let's see what the time is going to be. Third fastest time for the Dutchman as he goes into this left-hander and sets himself up for this little climb. You work with these young riders all the time. You see them at races. How much pressure do they put on themselves?
Sometimes a bit too much. They're, you know, as every athlete wants to perform, and sometimes they do get carried away. And some of their results are better than they think they are. You always want to do the best. It's almost just trying to keep those riders calm, trust they're in their own ability, and just give them the shop window. It's the most enjoyment is seeing those riders step up and move on and see them on the World Tour stage, winning races. And even if you played a tiny part of that, it's really a nice feeling. But just trying to help them learn. It's not every single rider can turn World Tour, but if that development as a human, as a better human being, as an athlete, as a coach, whatever they have in their future, just helping them learn, develop and move forward.
This is Enzo Paleni, the French rider, coming up to this second intermediate time split. So we're getting more of these riders reaching this point. Third fastest time for the French rider. Seems to be progressing nicely now along this course. As we look up there at Stirling Castle, up there on the hillside above the start. This is the start of the New Zealander Logan Curry, fourth in this race in 2022. New Zealander rides for the Black Spoke team. What do we think of the chances of Logan Curry this afternoon?
Fourth last year. He'll definitely be hoping for a medal. He'll want to be stood on that podium. But part of the Black Spoke Bolton Equities team, a really good race program. New Zealand Pro Continental team. So he's at home when he goes away. He has all the home comforts of the New Zealand accent. But a team that's really developing riders, looking after riders. They're getting in some really big races now, which is always great to see. But it'll be interesting what Logan could do later on.
The arrival of the Slovakian rider to the top of this climb, Filip Lowinski, staying on the saddle all the way to the top of this rise here in Stirling. The fastest time is Alistair McKellar, 44 minutes 42.88. Filip Lowinski passed that time already. It's going to be around about 3 minutes down at the finish line. But he's had his experience of being in the World Championships, and that's important for the development of this young rider. There's the finish just in front of him as he spins his way towards the top. Filip Lowinski is going to complete his individual time trial, and we'll see what his time is going to be. McKellar with 44.42.88. Lowinski reaches the line now with the second fastest time, 3 minutes and 15 seconds down on the time of Alistair McKellar of Australia. You can really hear how much this hurts.
Yeah, trying to catch all his breath. As you said, you hit that cobble climb already completely in the red, and he gets everything out, and it really shows the quality of McKellar's ride early on that benchmark.
Jan Christian arriving at the second intermediate time split, riding for Switzerland. It looks like he's going to set the fastest time. Michael Leonard's time is beaten by 26.08 seconds. Jan Christian, top of the leaderboards. This rider is really going for it. You can see the commitment around these corners.
Yeah, you could see then, use the whole road around that left-hander, keeping the speed as high as possible. But that was the biggest gap that we've seen so far.
And the finish now of Goncalo Tavares with the second fastest time. He just beats the previous second fastest time, goes into second place, 2 minutes, 0.99 down on the time of the Australian, who still sits himself in the hot seat this afternoon. All you want to do is lie on the tarmac here afterwards, isn't it? It's quite a hot afternoon as well in Stirling. We were expecting this week was going to be quite a lot of showery weather, but it's certainly nothing like that at all. As we see the arrival of Gajulovic riding for Poland. This is going to be a good ride as well, as he comes up to the conclusion of his time trial, second fastest time. Good ride by the rider from Poland. Hamish Mackenzie arrives at the second intermediate split, 3.05 seconds down on the time of the fastest rider, and he looks like he's starting to find a little bit of pace.
Yeah, and stayed in the tri-bars the whole way around that left-hand corner. Obviously he knew he could go around it without getting off the skis, didn't need to touch the brakes, but only 3 seconds down at that second intermediate check. It really is getting a close battle there between Mackenzie and Christensen.
This is the rider from Rwanda. You can hear the rumbling of this bike over these cobbles. Etienne Touizet. He's not been setting any times alight out on the course, but this is all about experience for Etienne Touizet. And he's going to finish this time trial this afternoon in these World Championships. Fifth fastest time, 5 minutes and 2 seconds down over the course. Rwanda doing a lot to develop as many young riders as possible. They have a good program, trying to find and spot talent and train them. They've got setups where they have virtual setups so they can test riders, try and bring them into their Rwandan setup. This looks like it's going to be the place just to sit against a nice wire barrier there at the side and just try desperately to recover.
Probably the most comfortable seat they've ever sat down in at that point in their lives. When that race is over, you probably sit there for as long as you can.
A reminder then, at the first split, it's Lorenzo Milesi, Hamish Mackenzie and Jan Christian who are the fastest riders. This is Darren Rafferty from Ireland, who is getting himself ready for his time trial this afternoon, not too far away from his start. This rider has got some real potential here.
Real potential. Already signed now for EF Education Easy Post. Winner of the general classification at Val d'Aosta.
5, 4, 3, 2.
Ivaras Makutis, riding for Lithuania. About 5 minutes until Darren Rafferty rolls off the start. Darren Rafferty then, having signed for EF, there'll almost be a feeling of the pressure is off, knowing you've got that World Tour contract in your pocket.
Yeah, the confidence should be there. Obviously shown enough already to warrant getting that World Tour contract. But you're all still fighting for that, the best position you can get in a World Championships. Doesn't matter if you've signed, if you haven't signed. That is the dream for everyone, stepping up to the highest level. But this is the World Championships, and showing yourself at the best you can is more important.
Lorenzo Milesi arrives at the second split, 24.5 seconds ahead of Jan Christian. This Italian rider is starting to set the times alight this afternoon. He's the fastest rider through the first split. The arrival then of Dean Harvey, chasing the time of Alistair McKellar. The Irishman has ridden a very good time trial this afternoon. Alistair McKellar set the time of 44:42.88. Dean Harvey trying to get everything out before the finish line. Let's see what the time is going to be. Harvey finishes now for Ireland, second fastest time, 25 seconds down on the time of the current fastest rider.
And that was pretty consistent throughout the whole ride. 15 seconds down at the first time check. But as you look at the cobbles now, and the amount of vibration that it sends through the riders, Dean Harvey's arms shaking. And that's going to hurt the legs so much at the end of this.
Here's the arrival of the next rider, Ivan Romero. This looks like it's a good ride. Can he beat the time of Alistair McKellar? 44:42.88 is the time to beat. Well, Romero's left something for the sprint to the finish line. Whether it's enough remains to be seen. It looks like it's going to be a little bit close. He's not going to be quite fast enough. Alistair McKellar is going to stay in the hot seat for Australia. Ivan Romero reaches the line for Spain, and he's going to be second fastest time. Consistent again by Ivan Romero on this course.
Really consistent. Showing his experience at such a young age. This is the riders who've stepped up to that World Tour level. They seem to be riding a lot more control and confidence in some ways.
And on the course with Logan Curry, over there on the left-hand side, in the black of New Zealand. This is Verven arriving at the second intermediate time split. Now, Jonathan Verven is one of the riders we identified as a possible top rider this afternoon. This is not going to get him anywhere, unfortunately. 1 minute and 2 seconds down. That's a little bit of a surprise.
It is quite a bit of a surprise, but it really shows the class and the ride of Malaysia. Really set that benchmark early on. It'll be interesting in the second half of the race for Malaysia. How much has he used too much early on? Is that going to affect, especially that final climb? McKellar, who went off early, really has set the benchmark, consistent through the whole ride, ridden it really well paced.
Jonathan Verven, who's signed for the Soudal Quick Step team, the development team that is. This is Logan Curry. We talked about the Bolton Equities Black Spoke team as we look there at Logan Curry's setup. We go back here with the arrival of a former junior world champion, Gustav Wang, as he gets towards the second intermediate split. His time is going to be outside that of Milesi. He's going to be the fourth fastest time, Gustav Wang, at this second intermediate time split. He's going well, but he's not setting the world alight right now.
No, and there's a lot of riders around that 48-second mark up until a minute. From 4th place to 7th place. They are really all close together, bunched together. So it'll be interesting this second half of the race.
Milesi's average speed, 51.176 kilometres an hour. So it's the only rider who's beaten 51 kilometres an hour to that second split. We go back to the starts. This is the Irish rider, Darren Rafferty. 6th in the European Championships.
3, 2, 1, go.
The countdown for Darren Rafferty, riding for Ireland as he makes his way off the starts. A hot afternoon, 36.2 kilometres for these riders to ride. Some of them have got bottles on, some of them haven't. How important is it to have some nutrition and drink on this time trial?
It's going to be the most important is the preparation. You're not going to change much mid-race. Some riders might not even take a drink for the whole time. Others maybe just want a little bit of something to help them out. So sometimes it might look like they have bottles on. They might just be empty because it's actually faster, especially with the aerodynamic bottles, to have a bottle in the bottle cage. Might have a tiny bit of water just in case. But that time, it's all about the preparation. Your meal times before, loaded up on caffeine if they use it, caffeine gels, completing the warm-up, you want to be light and fast. You want to make sure you've digested everything. You don't want to be having a full stomach. So normally they eat at least 3 hours before, which is good on a late start like we have. But those early starts when you're eating pasta at 5 a.m. in the morning isn't one of the best you see. Into the little ring as well, Leonard there.
This is
really
Michael Leonard of Canada as he makes his way towards the top of the climb here in Stirling. And Alistair McKellar's time, 44:42.88. Michael Leonard, we know, is one of the young stars of cycling who's already been noticed and signed by Ineos Grenadiers. Leonard of Canada chasing the time of Alistair McKellar, using a really high cadence towards the top of this cobbled climb. It's a real punisher. It hurts the legs a lot, but it also shakes the body to pieces. Michael Leonard is going to reach the line with the fastest time so far, and he beats McKellar by 13.17 seconds. Into the hot seats for the Canadian rider. He rode that climb well, didn't he, this afternoon, up to the top. Average speed 48.814. When we got towards the bottom of the climb, Leonard was faster than McKellar by 6 seconds. And at the finish line, he took 13 seconds. So he's gone quicker up that final climb.
Yeah, a big improvement there. 7 seconds he gained on McKellar on the final climb. You can see how much he's taken out of these riders.
It's a brutal finish, isn't it?
It really is brutal.
Here's the current standings at the finish line. Michael Leonard leads by 13.17 seconds from Alistair McKellar. Ivan Romero at 22 seconds. This is the arrival of Roel van Sint Maartensdijk. He's been chasing the times all afternoon. Doesn't look like he's quite going to get there in time to beat Michael Leonard, but it's going to be a good performance by the Dutch rider. We're expecting some fast times coming up this climb, though, by Hamish McKenzie and also Jan Christian, who are approaching the bottom of this rise now. Oh, look at the way, the rock and roll of the shoulders. Every rider's going to have their own strategy for this final climb of the day. It feels like the finish line never comes. Roel van Sint Maartensdijk. He reaches the line now, and he's going to finish in a time of 45 minutes, 14.21, fifth fastest time, 48 kilometres an hour. What do you think the strategy is for this climb, if there is one? Is it literally hold on? Is it better to sit in the saddle on the big ring, the small ring, or just come down to what you've got left?
It looks like it's what you've got left. You definitely want to drop into the little ring. That comes with a risk as well. If you have a problem at the bottom of the climb, there's no chance to really change it. You can see on the left-hand side of the road, he's trying to hit that gutter, which is the smoothest part. But that comes with peril as well. You're close to the curb then, could hit a pedal, and it could all end in disaster. You almost have to go all the way to the bottom at your pacing, and then whatever you've got left, you get it all out. That's why you can see everyone collapsing on the floor. They're getting all their effort out. And there's going to be a lot of people joining them on that, leaning against that fence.
Enzo Palani chasing the time of Michael Leonard, but it's gone by already. So Leonard is going to stay in the hot seat, the Canadian rider who will lead this individual time trial. Enzo Palani, riding for France, has reached the top of the hill at Stirling Castle. 49.55 seconds down. Sixth fastest time for the Frenchman. Coming soon, Jan Christian and Hamish McKenzie, who are approaching this climb now to get themselves set up for the climb to the top. Every rider, he just literally can hardly get off his bike.
That's when you know you've got everything out. The pain all the way through that race. When you get to the end, you just need those You need 5 minutes. That's all it takes normally for everyone just to catch their breath. But there's no hiding in this race.
The start of the next rider. This is Raul Garcia. Rides for Spain. And the start of Raul Garcia, a rider who's been noticed and rides for one of the Spanish professional teams.
Part of the Kern Farmer setup. One of those strong pro-continental Spanish teams. But a team that really is stepping up. You'll see them most likely in the Vuelta soon, but a really strong race program for the whole team. And they also have a development team as well, spending the money looking after the younger riders to help that team progress as it moves forward.
National time trial champion is Raul Garcia at his level. Going back here to number 37, the Latvian rider Alex Krast. Into the initial part of this time trial. And here's the arrival of Jan Christian. Now, this rider has been setting some good times out on the course. Jan Christian, can he beat the time of Michael Leonard? It's looking like a possibility. You can see how much he's even bumping out of the saddle. Such is the way that you rumble across these cobbles. And seemingly, when you get to that turn, you think, yep, he'll easily get to the top before Michael Leonard. But then you can just see how long it's taking this final few hundred meters to the top here at Stirling Castle. Well, it's witnessed some big battles. It's witnessing one this afternoon, the battle of a rider trying to get to the top of the climb, and then the battle for the rainbow jersey. He's going to be close, you know. Jan Christian, 44 minutes, 29.71. Can he get there? Sprinting for all he's worth. The legs are giving out. Is he going to beat the time of Michael Leonard? He reaches the line at 7.76 seconds. Top of the leaderboard for Jan Christian of Switzerland.
Christian was just shy of 20 seconds up on Leonard at the third intermediate time check. So it really shows the speed Leonard's gone up that final climb. Christian almost losing time, but not losing too much, leading by 7 seconds now.
This is the finish of Hamish Mackenzie. Mackenzie, the carbon fibre, you can hear that hollow rumble as he makes his way to the top of this rise now. Hamish Mackenzie, 50 metres from the line. This looks like it's going to be the new fastest time for the Australian. Mackenzie goes into the hot seat. 49.5 kilometres an hour, even with that climb. That's a sparkling performance by Hamish Mackenzie. At the bottom of the climb, he was 5 seconds ahead of Jan Christian. At the top, he was 30 seconds ahead, John.
What a ride. He's really opened the taps on that final climb. Seems to have ridden it with real good pace control there. To have that much left, to get it all out. And he'll be in the hot seat. Talking about the cobbles there, he didn't think it was a good idea either. You have to kind of agree with him, but it's making some great television and a great race to watch.
It is. It's going to be a great finish. Hamish Mackenzie now leads 30 seconds ahead of Jan Christian. Michael Leonard in third place. So an Australian in the hot seats. That's a brilliant performance on the final climb, taking 25 seconds out of the Swiss rider. We get a glimpse here of Eddy Le Huiteux. What about the chances of this French rider this afternoon?
Definitely one to watch, highlighted by showing us on the screen. It's going to be a big battle. You know, we've gone through so many riders already. There's some big riders to come.
Eddy Le Huiteux, bronze medalist in the European Championships. Part of the Groupama development team. Already finishing a top 10 in this race. We'll see how he performs as we work our way through the riders. Here's confirmation then at intermediate 2 that Milesi is the fastest rider. Now, does this translate to the fastest time at the finish line? Lorenzo Milesi has been flying his way along this course. This Italian rider is still flying his way up the cobble climb at the top here at Stirling Castle. Hamish Mackenzie's time, 43 minutes, 51.25. And this rider looks like he's still got some great speed on these cobbles. Working so hard, you can see the intent and the focus and the way that he really is starting to put the pressure on towards the final rise to the finish line. This is going to be a strong performance by Lorenzo Milesi of Italy. Is this going to be the fastest time? There's absolutely no question about it. He smashes the time of Mackenzie, 50.79 seconds.
What a benchmark set there by Milesi. In complete control from the start. Up every intermediate time check. And ridden well within himself because he's opened the gap up in that final time check as well. Up the final climb. Eating up the cobbles.
The arrival of Callum Thornley. Not going to be his day. Callum Thornley finishes with the 6th fastest time for Great Britain. The local rider may well never ride these cobbles up to Stirling Castle ever again on a training ride.
No, I don't think he'll be planning to ride up here anytime soon. But a great effort there from Callum. Got everything out, and that's the most important thing. Every rider here using and riding to their pace, their pacing strategy the best they can. There's nothing else you can do. It's man against man, rider against rider. And that grimace says it all. Milesi, the fastest so far.
He's been looking superb all the way along the course. Here's confirmation of the provisional standings here at the top of the climb. In the gold medal position, the Italian Lorenzo Milesi, 43 minutes 0046. Hamish Mackenzie of Australia, 50.79 seconds down. And Jan Christian of Switzerland, 121.49. The gaps between these riders so far are considerable, considering the distance is only 36 kilometres.
Yeah, Milesi really has opened up a big gap to the rest of the field. Really strong time from the Italian. And it'll be interesting to see if anyone later on, as they all getting close to everyone setting off, I don't know if anyone can actually push him close.
Well, Milesi is part of the DSM Firmenich setup. The arrival of Gustav Wang.
You can see the technical running. Now, this is our first glimpse of it. This is why the recon is really important. Now the left-hander, sweep round there, hold as much speed as possible. You know the cobble climb's coming. It's all about holding your speed and giving yourself the best run-up to hit the bottom.
Jonathan Vervain, it's not been his day. This rider is going to reach the top here at Stirling Castle. And at the finish line, he's going to be 1 minute 42 seconds down. 5th fastest time for Jonathan Vervain of Belgium. If you're one of the riders who is considered a favourite, and we are getting close to the start of the favourites, a little while later, what would you be thinking if you were the likes of the last 4 or 5 riders to go, who are kind of our seeded riders?
They are, but the best riders won't look at the time. They won't want to look at the time. You just have to do what you need to do. You know what you can do. Sometimes if you start looking, it creates more pressure, more worry. Top riders go out, do the process, do the time trial you know you can do best. And one of the best ways of this race, the race of truth, whoever is the strongest, whoever is the best, will win, as long as there isn't mechanical issues, crashes, all those things. But most of the time, the strongest on the day comes out on top. And that's what Milesi's done so far. But still plenty of stars to go.
Gustav Wang reaches the finish of this individual time trial. Junior world champion, still finding his feet as he's progressed from junior onto under 23. This Danish rider almost at the top. Just putting his hands in the middle of the bars there, just trying to find some way of getting some power through those legs. Milese's time has gone by, 43 minutes 0046. Wang finishes in 10th place, 48.1 kilometers an hour. Some riders make the progression junior into, you can see just how deep he's gone, junior into the elite ranks really easily, and others take some time, and Gustav Wang's taking a bit of time until he finds his feet. But a rider, you don't win the Junior World Championships without a lot of potential and a lot of class.
He definitely has the class there. There's always so much going on in every athlete's life and career. Some injuries can affect so much, and your form when you come into a championship. It's so hard to peak at the right time. But some riders obviously develop different time. Everyone's one of the best things about cycling. You can have a guy who's 50 kilos, or you can have a guy who's 85 kilos, and they could be 6 foot and 5 foot. We all race together. We all race against each other. So some riders have advantages on climbs, advantages in time trials, but always a big battle.
Plenty of drinks then for Milese and Mackenzie and Jan Christen as they settle down in the hot seats this afternoon. Stirling hosting these individual time trial world championships. We've had a great championship so far, with Glasgow and all the other areas hosting the various different disciplines. The track cycling comes to an end today. This is Logan Curry out on the course. Don't forget to follow at UCI_cycling and use the hashtag Glasgow Scotland 2023 if you are talking about the various races that are going on during this time trial. Please feel free to link in with myself, Anthony McCrossan, and with John Moulds. Pleasure for us to bring you these championships this afternoon here in Stirling. We're right up at Stirling Castle. We had lunch in the Great Hall. That was a good experience this afternoon. When did it date back to? The 11th century or something. We see the start then of Louis van Bella. What's the chances of this rider this afternoon? In the colours of the Jumbo-Visma team on that bike already. Louis van Bella getting into that aero tuck nice and quickly.
Van Bella, part of the development team this year, but already signed a 3-year contract with the World Tour team.
So he'll be riding in the team of the Tour de France winner.
Straight, stepping up, riding, one of the best teams around at the moment. Real strong time trialist, picked up 2nd place in the opening time trial at the Giro Next Gen. So strong pedigree as we get towards these finishing riders.
Not too many riders left to go, are there? This is the next rider on the start line. Going off the start line for France, Eddie Louis-Touz, bronze medalist in the European Championships. Can he bring home a medal for France this afternoon? Eddie Louis-Touz, no hanging back there though. Straight off the line and straight into the aero tuck.
Straight away. You can see he's really putting his head down, trying to get as low as possible. Riding number 13. Quite an unlucky number for some, if you believe in it. He hasn't chosen to put it upside down. Kind of like that. I always feel if you put it upside down, you're saying that it's superstition, you're saying it's bad luck. But if you completely ignore it, surely there's no bad luck.
Darren Rafferty. How's Darren Rafferty looking this afternoon? Looks like he's moving well. A little bit of rock and roll in those shoulders.
Settling in, 19 kilometres of his race left.
gone through the first check, 5th fastest time, 49.326. Now this is Josh Charlton. It was an unusual moment yesterday where Josh Charlton got in the car in the mixed relay time trial, having done the start for Great Britain. He was brought into the team at the last moment, wasn't he?
Yeah, he really was. He was out for a recon ride of the time trial course in the morning with Callum Thornley, and unfortunately they lost Ben Turner to illness. And Charlton came in, did the start, almost just started them off, did his effort, and then got in the car, saved his legs for today. Just needed to do what he needed for the team, and fair play to Josh. He stepped up, he's done his bit, but this is his chance today.
The arrival of Jakob Söderqvist, as he finished with the 3rd fastest time, the Swedish rider. We haven't seen much of him out on the course, but that's a good performance by Jakob Söderqvist. He went through the intermediate time split at the bottom of the climb with the 4th fastest time, and the other split again 4th fastest time, and at the initial split he was down in 8th place. That progression of time shows good pacing strategy.
It really is. Talk about in pursuit and time trialing, almost a negative split, so you want to get faster as the ride goes on. He obviously started off, settled into his rhythm, what he needed to do, but keep building. You want to keep accelerating the whole way through the whole time trial. A little seems to be okay for him. He's happy with that.
He's got to be happy with a ride where you are not feeling like you are backing off and you can do nothing about it. He's clearly ridden a clever ride where he's felt like he's progressing nicely. For those of us who just sit and marvel at the way that riders like you and these riders progress, I just don't understand how they're able to just look and go, right, we need to speed up now, knowing that you feel like you're almost on your limit already, as Ivaros Makutis goes through for Lithuania with the 9th fastest time. Is it something where you go off the start and because you are so used to it, you just watch the watts and you say, okay, I'm actually going to go a few watts below, and then you get to a point on the course predetermined, think, right, now we accelerate?
It really is. You would have spent time reconning the course and knowing what you need to do. And it's always easy to start and hold yourself back. But it is a World Championships. These little things get that little bit extra out. It's big, and it's with a number on your back, you can push yourself. But with a World Championship number on your back, knowing you're competing in the World Championships, riders can really push themselves, push them as deep as possible. And as you can see, when they get to the top of the climb, everyone's getting everything out. And that's all they need to do. If you've got everything out, you have nothing left, you should be happy with what you've got.
The first intermediate split, we've just noticed that Raul Garcia has gone through with the 3rd fastest time. He's only 11 seconds behind the Italian Lorenzo Milesi. No surprise really about Raul Garcia. He's a rider that has been noticed by Equipo Kern Pharma. He rides for them, but I know a number of other teams have got their eye on him because he's a really talented young rider. As we look here at Brian Olivo, who's the Italian champion. He's also silver medalist in the under-23 team pursuit in the World Championships as well. He's about to go off the start line pretty soon. The start then of Fabian Weiss, riding for Switzerland, and a rider who is signed for the team of Tudor Pro Cycling. Here we go, the countdown of Fabian Weiss. Not too many riders left to go, only 8 riders after this. Fabian Weiss is underway. Now he rides for this new setup of Tudor Pro Cycling.
Yep, currently part of the development team. They have both development team and the pro team really come onto the scene this year. They've been involved with cycling for a long time, Tudor, but really stepping up their sponsorship, stepping up their team, being helped and led under the guidance of Fabian Cancellara where they can. One of Switzerland's greatest ever time trialists.
Settles himself into that rhythm quickly. Tudor have announced that they're going to support the team for a lot longer than was first envisaged. I think I'm right in saying till 2028 they've committed their sponsorship. As we go back here. Now, John, is this the race favourite?
before we started today, yeah, I think we all agreed this is the man to watch. This is the man picking up silver last year. But it's the pressure that he's under. He knows he needs to perform.
The start of the Australian rider, Brady Gilmore, gets underway. So Brady Gilmore gets going. Another little adjustment of that helmet. Puts himself into the aero tuck as quickly as possible. We're around about Stirling Castle. At the first split, still Lorenzo Milesi is the leader. This is the National Wallace Monument. Built 600 years after William Wallace's famous defeat of the English in 1297. Immortalised in the film Braveheart. This foundation stone for this was laid in 1861, witnessed by 80,000 people who travelled from Scotland and beyond to witness the ceremony. The tower is 220 feet high, took 8 years to build, and can be seen on the hillside from miles around. Logan Curry still making his way along this course. At the first split, Milesi leads ahead of Mackenzie, ahead of Garcia. At the second split, we have got Milesi ahead of Kristen, ahead of Mackenzie. Darren Rafferty heading towards the second intermediate split. This was a good performance by Darren Rafferty. Riding for Ireland, Rafferty is going to reach the line with the 5th fastest time. He's progressing well.
He is a really controlled ride. Hopefully speeding up and accelerating the whole way through. Rafferty has spent a lot of time working on his position at home in Ireland. One of the local wizards in that area is Conor McCann, and he's really looked after Rafferty, got his position dialed where he can, and Rafferty hopefully finishing this time trial as strong as possible.
Eddie Louis Touz, as we go back to the start, only a few riders left to go. Next rider to start will be the American rider, Evan Boyle. Second in their national championships. The American rider is underway. America have had some good performances in this under-23 time trial. Brandon McNulty, now a big member of that UAE Team Emirates squad. He's finished second in this title before. He's also taken a bronze medal in 2019. Ian Garrison took a silver medal in 2019 as well. Was there a problem off the start? Tried to go a little bit early.
A little bit of early. The commissaire there. Not letting him go at all, holding him back.
It's lucky he actually kept the bike upright there. Only 5 riders left to start. Evan Boyle is underway. Settles himself into his rhythm. Going back then to the start of the Norwegian rider. This is Truls Nordhagen. Member of the Uno X setup. Truls Nordhagen getting ready. And the start of Truls Nordhagen. He's wearing one of these incredible aero hats. The back of them is almost, in some riders, goes across the shoulders.
They really are wide. Obviously trying to make the air as smooth as possible in that transition to the shoulders. Part of the Uno X development team.
The final rider to go will be Carl Fredrik Bevort. Not too many riders left to go. 4 more riders left to roll down the start ramp. And after that, in about 43 minutes, we'll know who's going to be the world champion. Start of Evan Boyle. What do we think of the chances of Evan Boyle this afternoon? As an American rider, We've seen American riders perform well in these championships before.
A first-year senior, so it's always half experience. Going to a World Championships, experience the whole, everything that comes with that.
Josh Charlton of Great Britain, national under-23 champion. He gets going then. Let's see whether that start in the time trial yesterday and then getting in the car, not even riding the rest of the circuit, helps him. Can he produce something? He hit something there, or something dropped off the bike.
No, I wasn't sure there. It looked like he settled in. It didn't worry him anyway. So if there was an issue, he didn't show anything. So settled into his rhythm.
This is the New Zealander, Logan Curry, making his way towards the finish line. He's been there or thereabouts so far in this time trial. Alonso Malaysi's time has gone past for Logan Curry. Malaysia is setting some sparkling times. Mackenzie was 50 seconds down at the bottom of the climb. Sorry, Logan Curry a minute down at the bottom of the climb, so we'll see what it is at the top. This is the rider who goes third from last, Brian Oliva. Underway for Italy.
The Italian under-23 time trial champion. Part of pretty much the development team for Bahrain Victorious, under different names, different sponsors. As you can see, you can probably recognise that Merida, which is the Merida used by the World Tour team.
This is Logan Curry heading towards the conclusion of this time trial. Well, the final climb has hurt him as well. Logan Curry, what is his time going to be? Malaysia is going to stay in the hot seat. He's going to be the fourth fastest rider, Logan Curry, at the finish line. At the bottom of the climb, Logan Curry was in fifth place, so he picks up one position on the climb.
Showing he's got everything out. Luckily, he had his swan year or carer of the New Zealand team to push him over the line when he got to the finish.
Penultimate rider to go. Alex Siegert riding for Belgium. Can this rider now win this gold medal finally? Silver medalist, as John mentioned, last year. Underway for Alex Siegert. The Belgian rider, the favourite for this time trial this afternoon. Settles himself into the rhythm. A really strong time trialist, isn't he?
Really strong. And a strong road rider as well. Picked up a stage of the Giro Next Gen. And won Baby Lombardy in 2022. Moved up from the Lotto Destiny development team into the Lotto Destiny professional team. Really settled in nicely already to his rhythm. Really good position. You can see how close his hands are to his head. The aero helmet tucks into his back.
Certainly looks good. I like the way we saw him sitting there in the seat before he started, and it's almost like a downhill skier. The hands in front of him, thinking about putting himself into the aero position, just getting into almost that trance state, that flow state where he can just fly along the course. The final rider in this time trial is about to start. Carl Fredrik Bevord of Denmark. Sixth in this time trial last time. Carl Fredrik Bevord is underway. All of the riders in this individual time trial have started. Now we'll see their translation in time all the way along this course. What's the chances of this rider this afternoon?
Obviously, sixth place last year in this event. He knows what he needs to do now. He's the last rider off. He's the last rider that heads down that start ramp. He doesn't need to let that affect him. Settle into his race. Know what he can do. But you can see how fast those riders are, how far they are down the block on the cassette. Speed there, they'd be looking at a 56 tooth chain ring at the front at least, where they can.
We see the chain is almost white as well.
Yeah, so you're looking at waxing chains. Hopefully, it's all about all these little things make such a difference now.
And waxing the chain is to try and make it almost feel like you don't have a chain on the bike at all.
Yeah, you want to make it as smooth as possible, that transition. Obviously, the power is you push it through your legs and the chain pulls the back wheel round. If that any little grit or oil can affect those tiny little things. So if it's a smooth transition as possible, that helps with you. You don't need to be wasting watts. So you want all your watts, all your power in your legs to go through into that back wheel and move you forward. Any tiny little things you can make, the times are so close. Those little benefits are huge. Some riders choose to wax their chains, other riders choose to make sure they're spotless, perfectly clean, and use the right oil.
Here we are in the hot seat. Lorenzo Milesi, the Italian rider, member of the DSM Firmenich team. He's come through that DSM program all the way through. His results have been fantastic. His girlfriend is Vittoria Guazzini, who rides for FDJ. So she'll be excited about this performance this afternoon, I'm sure. Into the aero tuck for Carl Frederick Bevord at the first intermediate split. Milesi leads ahead of Hamish Mackenzie, ahead of Raul Garcia in third place. At the second intermediate split, of course, riders are still to reach there. Milesi leads from Kristen, from Mackenzie. Raul Garcia's gone through with the fourth fastest time, so it looks like he might be losing some time. At the third split, it's Milesi from Mackenzie, from Kristen. And then at the finish line, as things stand, we are in the hot seats with Milesi in that hot seat ahead of Mackenzie, ahead of Söderqvist, riding for Sweden. Logan Curry in fourth place. Alex Siegert has still got a fair distance to go to this first intermediate time split. He looks rock solid on his bike, doesn't he, this afternoon?
It'll be really interesting to see what Segert's got in that first intermediate time check. Milesi really has set the time to beat across the whole course. So we should get a good idea how close Segert can get. Obviously one of the favourites for today. But looking super smooth.
Does look really good this afternoon. Back here with the Italian rider. He's got the full Bahrain Victorious Merida bike. Good setup there as we see the arrival of Aivaras Mikutis of Lithuania. There is no real style to ride in this final climb. It's all about trying to get everything that's left out of the legs, finish exhausted, find some sort of power to take you to the top of this horrible cobbled climb in Stirling. The organisation could have been kind and finished this race at the bottom, but absolutely not. It's all about finishing it right at the above. When you drive into Stirling, you look up and you see Stirling Castle above the town at the bottom, and you think, wow, we're really going to go up there. Well, this rider is finishing. It's going to be a good time by the Lithuanian rider. Aivaras Mikutis finishes with the 11th fastest time.
It really is a brute. A real battle to the top.
I am surprised there's no volunteers standing straight after the finish line, because I think there's going to be a couple of riders who have no more revs at all when they get to this finish and are going to need lifted. This is the finish line. Lorenzo Milesi of Italy, ahead of Hamish Mackenzie, ahead of Jakob Söderqvist, Sweden rider. So far, it's not going to form yet, is it? Because we had Christian and Leonard, we might have anticipated would have been higher up at this point. Milesi we knew would do a decent time, but he's probably more of a surprise than the others.
Yeah, it's quite a hard one to tell. Obviously, he's stepped up to the World Tour setup, so sometimes those opportunities haven't come as easy for him. He's a worker in that World Tour team. He rides on the front for the big stars, and this is his opportunity to really go out and show the world what he's got and show the team that he soon should be one of the big stars within that team as well.
This is Nordagen. 27.3 kilometres to go for the rider from Norway. So for those just joining us, welcome along to this individual time trial. We are taking you through now with all the riders on the road, either finished or progressing their way along this time trial course. Let's just go back and recap on a couple of things. We see Josh Charlton progressing along the course for Great Britain. Just remind us, John, for viewers just following us now, what is the situation with the wind direction and how is the course configured?
So there is a bit of light wind, around 12 kilometres. The course heads out to the west and they will have a headwind for the first part up until about 7 kilometres in. They make a right-hand turn and some small drags just after that, but on the way back they will have a strong tailwind. That tailwind will help them, help the legs where you need to be, but that finishing climb then is going to be key to the top result you can get. That cobble climb in the final 500 metres, really, if you have anything left, you need to get it all out. But if you have used all your legs, there's no hiding on that part of the course. And you can see, as we've seen the riders come in, everyone just wanting to collapse on the floor. But all about the pacing early on. You want to ride within yourself. You want to save that energy for that final, important final 10 kilometres.
The arrival of the Irish rider, Darren Rafferty. Still got a fair distance to go to the finish, but he's progressed well along the course. Rafferty at the first split was 6th fastest. At the second split, he went through 23.1 kilometres, 6th fastest time. Rafferty has reached the bottom of the climb with the 4th fastest time. And now he is trying to push himself all the way to the finish to put himself in with a chance here. Darren Rafferty of Ireland. He's a good climber. He should be able to find a little bit more speed than the others if he's got good legs. It just depends whether he's given a little bit too much to the bottom of this climb. Darren Rafferty. He's going to be outside the time of Milesi, but it's going to be a good performance. 3rd fastest time from Darren Rafferty.
3rd place for Rafferty, provisionally. Really strong ride there. Really strong finish to the ride. Really shows he's paced his effort well. Hopefully for him, it'll be a long stay in the hot seat of 3rd, but he's the danger man there. When as soon as he gets that hot seat, he's the first one to be kicked off if anyone beats anyone else. But Rafferty getting it all out.
An impressive performance by Darren Rafferty, 3rd fastest time at this point in this time trial. Just shows how well he rode. He progressed rather than slowing down, and that's what John Mould's been telling us. Try and pace yourself so that by the end you've got everything out, rather than you get to the bottom of this climb and you have nothing left. He really has progressed. 6th fastest, 6th fastest, 4th fastest, 3rd fastest.
Yeah, a brilliant control there from Rafferty. One of Ireland's best riders at the moment. And at the moment, sits 3rd fastest in the Under-23 World Championships.
Darren Rafferty rides for Hagens Bermans, the development team. This is Brian Olivo. Looks very relaxed on that bike. The way he holds the handlebars as well on the front. Does hand position over the front of that bike make any difference whatsoever?
Again, if you want to make it as small as possible, we did talk about it early on, but it's all about making your body position as small to push the wind, to push the least amount of wind as you can, and the amount of power that you can put through your legs. Obviously, you can get really, really low, but that does affect the power then that you're able to produce. So finding that balance, wind tunnel testing is probably one of the first things that people go to nowadays. Obviously, at the World Tour level, the availability of that is a bit easier, but some of these under-23 riders really just have to do it testing on the road, testing in the velodrome. But the most important thing is going through the wind as smooth and as fast as possible.
Taking this left-hander along the course now. And a big acceleration out of that corner just to get the bike up to speed as quick as he possibly can. .4 kilometres to go for Josh Charlton, riding in the colours of Great Britain. And this is the arrival at the intermediate split for Loa Van Bella. 13th fastest through there. We've just got update that Josh Charlton's gone through the first split with the second fastest time so far for the British rider, 7.62 seconds down on the time of Lorenzo Milesi. So the British rider has produced a very good performance so far, well over 50 kilometres an hour.
Very strong performance from Charlton.
Back with Eddie Louis-Tous. He looks like he's going well as well at this precise moment in time, but he doesn't seem to be finding the speed translated to the intermediate splits. Looks like Seaguard is already catching the rider in front of him, and the telltale sign is that car being pulled out of the gap. He's catching Brian Olivo for 1 minute 15 seconds already on this course, with 24 kilometres of racing to go.
Still hasn't reached that first intermediate time check. This is great for Segut's confidence. To see your minute 15 rider that you need to catch in front of you. Segut really settling down. Doesn't look in any difficulty at the moment.
Riding the new Ridley time trial bike, the Dean Fast time trial bike that has been released here at the World Championships. Earlier on in the season, Victor Campenaerts was riding one of those bikes. Seaguard has just got to the intermediate split. The first split with the fastest time so far. He's just gone through it now, 10.26 seconds faster than the Italian Lorenzo Milesi, who is currently in a hot seat. So John Milesi riding really quick, but Segut's finding even more speed.
Milesi has been the one to beat for a very long time now, but Segut has come out 10.2 seconds up, 17.8 seconds up on Charlton. Already catching Oliva, passing him. See the slight drag there. This is where they really need to settle in, use their power. They know what they need to do. But Segut, first man to beat Milesi at any time check in a really long time.
And the only rider at the first check, 51.159 kilometres an hour. So the only rider over 51 kilometres an hour. This is Raul Garcia. He's been setting some good times out on the course. Time of Milesi is 43 minutes 0046. Garcia's going to be outside that time, but he is pushing for a place on the podium. The Spanish rider reaches the finish line here in the castle in Stirling, and the time is going to be third fastest time for Raul Garcia, 49.5 kilometres an hour. Great performance by the Spaniards. .475 kilometres an hour. Pushes the Irish rider, Darren Rafferty, down one place.
But it's so close. Second place, Mackenzie, provisionally 50 seconds down on Milesi. Garcia, 53 seconds down, and Rafferty, 56 seconds down. As you see, Rafferty had a little seat Had a comfy little rest for a while. Unfortunately, he's have to leave the hot seats. And it's Garcia who takes his place.
You can feel the stress that these riders are under at the finish line. As we look here at the finish times, Milesi leads from Hamish McKenzie at 50.79 seconds. Raul Garcia of Spain, 53.59. Still, we don't know where these medals are going. It's not decided. The first split is telling us some stories. Seagard from Milesi from Charlton. It's the current standings. And Carl Frederick Bevort has gone through with the 13th fastest time, which is a little bit of a surprise that Bevort is that far down at this point in this time trial. 6th last year, rides for the Uno X setup. And Bevort, we might have expected, would have gone that little bit faster. But at the first intermediate split, you're seeing there that he is not in the game right now.
No, he really isn't. Like we talked about, one of the favourites for today. But at the moment, looks like it's only going to be between Milesi and Saga for the World Championship jersey. Those two head and shoulders above everyone else. It's only Josh Charlton who was close to them.
Throwing the bike round that left-hander. He's taking a couple of risks here, but he needs to, doesn't he? You can't win a world title in an individual time trial if you don't take the odd risk through some of these corners.
You have to risk it. You want to hold your speed as best you can. This is why the recon and the team manager behind them in the car is so important. They have the route on their screen. They can talk the rider through what's coming up. If it's a smooth corner, they can say stay on the tri-bars, don't get out of position, or they can tell them they need to brake at the last minute.
Josh Charlton of Great Britain catches Truls Nordhagen and goes straight past. What's the rules here, John, on when you catch a rider in a time trial?
Obviously, the rule, if you get caught, you can't just then sit on the wheel. Obviously, if you do get caught, especially by a minute and 15, it's obvious. The rider behind is travelling a lot faster than you. You're not going to be able to get on the wheel, even if you try as hard as you can most of the time. It's demoralising when it happens, but also really motivating when it's the other way round. So Charlton knows he's on a good day, but he needs to concentrate on his effort and get everything out towards the end of this bike race.
Fabian Weiss goes through with the 21st fastest time. There's some surprising performances this afternoon from some riders we might have thought would be in the game. This rider was 4th in the European Championships last year. It is a specific course, isn't it? These roads are not easy to race on. You've raced on Scottish roads. They never feel like you're getting speed.
No, they're not. Similar to the European side, you look how fast and smooth the Spanish roads are, Italian roads. It really is a slog for the whole way. Nice little resurfacing here in the lanes, which is perfect for World Championships and the local area. This lane probably was in a lot different state. World Champions have come in, resurfaced the road. Obviously, they're not going to rip that up, so that's good for the local area and the local cyclists. They know there's some smooth roads now. One of the best things about having the World Championships in your local area, they look after the roads as the best they can. But Sargent, so far, looking really good, really in control. Position is dialed. And we saw Charlton come through this section earlier on, only a couple minutes ago.
This rider just looks quick. He looks like he's got so much power. As we go back to Charlton, now this rider is not even a member of one of the big development teams. He's not been signed, as far as we know, yet by one of the big World Tour teams. He rides for the team of St. Piran, which is a small British Cornish-based team. And this rider is finding some great speed. This, as we mentioned a couple of hours ago, is a shop window. This is your chance to be seen by the World Tour teams, and if you end up producing a medal performance this afternoon, you will be signed by either a development team of a World Tour team or a World Tour team.
It really is. It's the shop window for Josh Charlton. Get your name out there, get mentioned, get noticed, and hopefully he can step up. He's not thinking about that right now. He's thinking about his ride, the important thing he needs to do. Current British time trial champion at under 23 level.
He's got a good position, hasn't he? The nose is almost on the hands, like we said. That frontal area is tucked in. There's no much rock and roll. He's just spinning the pedals over, but rides a big gear, pushes power all the time.
Yeah, he was really on top of that gear. Some riders prefer a higher cadence, others a lower cadence. But as long as they're creating the power and they can hold the power, that's the most important thing. But Charlton looking very good at the moment. Home World Championships as well. Maybe that add a little bit of extra motivation. Hopefully add an extra 10 or 15 watts as well.
Back with the Belgian rider, Alex Seeger. Just look at the way he holds himself on that bike. Milesi. There's the current situation. 8 seconds, we're being told, in real time on the road between Milesi, the Italian, and Sagat. Milesi knows he's just got to sit there. He's all smiles right now. I'm not sure he's going to be smiling that much when he sees Sagat get up onto the climb, because it's going to be close between these two riders, judging by the current situation.
Milesi really showing his experience. He's happy with his ride. He's in the hot seat. Whatever happens, happens. He's enjoying the moment. I'm sure he's hoping that he'll stay there and not get replaced by Seger, but there's not much he can do now. He's leading, and all he has to do is hope he's done enough on that final climb.
Seeger, you can see the little drips of sweat off the nose every now and then. He's putting in a mammoth effort. Look at the way he's able to hold that head just above the forearms as we see the arrival of Josh Charlton at the intermediate time split, heading towards intermediate split 2 at 23.1 kilometres. The British rider is starting to produce a sparkling performance this afternoon. Let's see what the intermediate split this time is going to be between him and Milesi. Can he put himself in with a chance of a medal this afternoon? Coming up to intermediate split 2 for the British rider, and it's a great ride so far. Second fastest time, 15 seconds for Charlton.
Closest rider to Milesi so far. 15 seconds down at the second time check. He's actually gained 2 seconds on Milesi from the first time check.
Now, if he's ridden negative splits, this is going to be a potential medal here for Great Britain and Josh Charlton. Sagan of Belgium is looking like he is heading at the moment to produce the fastest times along the course, but you never know what might happen as things progress. So Milesi knows he's around 8 seconds in hand, but let's see how it all unfolds. Sagat's got so much straight line speed. Look at the way there is hardly any movement in this rider right now. Just now and then the shoulders move left and right, but it's just pure power through those pedals. He's got this absolutely dialed. You can see the amount of hours he's put in on this bike.
Yeah, a solid position, solid ride so far. Looking really good, really fluid pedaling style as well. Obviously you can tell when the fatigue starts to come in, it almost looks like you're pedaling squares. You're not pedaling in circles in that fluid motion. But at the moment that isn't happening for Seger. Just coming up to 13.5 kilometres to go.
Comes up to the corner, late into out of the tuck, as late as he possibly could be. Now this will give us the idea. Milesi's time, 27 minutes 4.99. Alex Seeger, the favourite for this time trial this afternoon. Is he going to beat the time of Lorenzo Milesi at this point in the time trial? It's going to start to be a little bit tight here. Alex Sagat coming up to the intermediate time split. It was 8 seconds, and now it's starting to get tantalizingly close. 3.86 seconds is now the difference, real time, between Milesi of Italy and Sagat of Belgium.
It's really coming down to that final half of this race. Sagat in the first section was up, first intermediate time check. But this is close, this is getting tight. Milesi.
3 seconds though, John, this is close. He knows that it's starting to turn his way.
Yeah. He knows if he's got it all out towards the end of this race, and he's improved and felt good the whole way through. But it is a really battle against yourself. You can't control what other people do. But Milesi just going to have to watch on, like all of us. He hasn't got his hands over his eyes just yet, but he might do towards the end.
Brian Olivo goes through 31st place for the rider who started third from last. The last few riders have not quite performed the way we might have anticipated, apart from Sagat, who is now in the prime position, but he needs to find some more speed. He's lost 4 seconds between the 12.6 kilometre split and the second split. He was at 10.26 seconds, and now he's at 3.86. He's lost nearly 7 seconds in the second phase of this time trial. He's now into phase 3. Now we start to see a little bit of pressure for the first time. You start to see the hunch back a little bit more, and those shoulders. You wonder whether he's been told by the team car that you need to find some more speed here. I don't know whether they would tell him or not. What do you think?
I think they would. You'd want to have the time checks. He knows he needs to keep pushing, but that's the first time we've seen the movement in the shoulders. You can see the fatigue now. Obviously, you can be as solid as you can, but when you're on your limit and you're going full pelt, you're getting everything out. Of course, the shoulders are going to start to rock. You're trying to hold it. It's just about limiting those movements is all you can do. There's no way that anyone can ride perfectly solid the whole time trial. But Sargent showing his first signs that he's struggling a little bit. But, of course, he is still the fastest rider on the course at the halfway stage.
The arrival of Louis van Belle riding for the Netherlands here. This is going to be outside the time also of Milesi. Another 13 riders to finish after this. Louis van Belle comes up to the finish line now. We'll see what the time is going to be for the rider from the Netherlands. Reaches the conclusion of the time trial with the 14th fastest time this afternoon. This time trial first was held in 1996 in Lugano in Italy. Luca Cironi was the rider who won the title. In 1998, Thor Hushoff was the winner. He went on to win, of course, the green jersey in the Tour de France. Taylor Phinney was the winner in 2010. Luke Durbridge, the winner in 2011. And Mikael Bjerg, who now rides for UAE Team Emirates, a winner 3 years running between 2017 and 2019. Last year, it was won by Soren Varenskjold. Alex Sagat was second. Leo Hayter of Great Britain was in third place. Logan Curry of New Zealand in fourth. Eddie Louis Touz of France is on the cobbles, making his way to the conclusion of his individual time trial. Milesi's time, 43 minutes 0046. Eddie Louis Touz, let's see what the time is going to be for the Frenchman. Bronze medalist in the European Championships, 13th fastest for Louis Touz this afternoon. There's going to be some riders who love this course and some riders who will absolutely hate it and will tell everybody it for weeks. And it didn't suit them. It just wasn't theirs. But every year the World Championships is a little bit different. It's not the first time that we finished a time trial at the top of a huge climb. Think back to Bergen a few years ago when we finished at the top of a huge climb in the elite men's time trial. And it produced an amazing race because we saw riders change bikes and everything at the bottom, and it was all about strategy. So there is a precedent for this. Sagat now is, we're being told, is 10 seconds ahead of Milesi. Looks like he's found some more speed.
It does. It's looking good at the moment for Sagat. But 8k to go. There's plenty still to come. That final climb is going to be key. Milesi sat there nice and cool with his can of Fanta, enjoying the show like the rest of us.
He is. So I'm wondering how many cans he's had. I think he's had as many as the number of intermediate splits we've had.
They're only little ones, though. They're not the full-size 500ml. So it might equal out there. Can't be too harsh on him. Definitely, he's a Fanta fan, though.
He is. The second split, the top three, Alex Sagat here in the colours of Belgium. The Italian Lorenzo Milesi at 3.86 seconds. Josh Charlton of Great Britain at 18.86 seconds. So the next split is at 31.8. We'll see the situation there. As things stand, it's Lorenzo Milesi, who is 42 seconds ahead of Hamish Mackenzie. This rider's having some issues.
Looks like a little bit of cramp. Trying to stretch the legs out. Olivo having a tough time there.
We said at the beginning, this is the race of truth. There is nowhere to hide. It's all about you and your efforts. Gets himself going again. The top three at the third split. Milesi, Mackenzie, Kristen. But that's probably about to change.
The first rider we will get to see, the one we're watching, is Josh Charlton from Great Britain. Third fastest at the second intermediate time check.
He's around about 3 or 4 minutes from that split. Brady Gilmore of Australia has just gone through with the 27th fastest time to that point. The American rider Evan Boyle has just gone through there with the 22nd fastest time. 2 minutes and 14 seconds down. So not too long until Josh Charlton, here he is, reaches the bottom of the climb. Charlton, 37 minutes through his ride. He's looking to put himself into the medals. It's been a good ride by him so far. He has that very aero bike that is used by Tadej Pogačar in the races like the Tour de France, with that filled-in bottle section at the bottom. Very clever design by Colnago. It used to be you weren't allowed any sort of fairing into the bikes at all. He's coming up to this intermediate split now. Let's see what the time is going to be. He needs to chase it all the way to the finish. Charlton, he's been the third fastest so far. I don't know whether he's starting to lose a little bit of time here. He is the third fastest to this point, but he's now behind the time of Hamish Mackenzie by just about 0.1 of a second, just over 0.1 of a second.
Yep, those first two intermediate time checks. Has lost a little bit of a time. The course does drag in that back end. So once he's over this, he'll start this fast descent. He's trying to hit Sterling in the best place he can, get everything out on that final climb. But still on for close for a medal. 4 kilometres to go now for Charlton.
To say, though, Hamish Mackenzie in that phase took 13 seconds out of Josh Charlton in that particular part of the course. It shows that Mackenzie of Australia rode an incredible third phase of this time trial. Now Charlton's into the fourth phase. Can Australia take the silver or bronze medal this afternoon? As things stand at the third split, Milesi leads from Mackenzie of Australia with Charlton in third place. But we know that this rider is flying his way along the course. So Sagat could be the rider who pushes all those riders down the standings, and then it's all about how fast Charlton and Sagat make their way up towards the top of the climb.
It really is a battle for the gold medal between Malaysia and Sager. But behind that, a big battle for bronze. We're getting really close to this third intermediate time check now. It's getting ever so tight.
This is getting very, very close now. There might be a bigger smile on the face of the Italian because Alex Segert is reaching the second intermediate split and he's going to go through there with the second fastest time. 3.8 seconds now. Milesi has started to turn the tables. Now he'll start to get a little bit nervous because this is getting close. At split 3, Milesi leads by 3.8 seconds from Segert, with Mackenzie in third place for Australia and Charlton in fourth place for Great Britain. It's getting tight here, John.
Really tight. Milesi has been down in those first 2 intermediate time checks. But now, 3-second lead. Segert really needs to turn the tables on this final climb. Milesi rode really well. We saw how well he rode the final climb when he came up to finish in Stirling Castle. This is the time. Team manager, sports director in the ear, willing Segert to get everything out. You've got 3 kilometers now. You need to make sure you get any last bit of energy out. World Championship jersey on the line. But at the moment, Milesi holds the cards, holds that jersey with a very small fingertip.
It's very, very close now between these riders. We are ready for a bit of a cliffhanger. The finish at the top of the rise to Stirling Castle. The battle has commenced for the medals. Milesi, the smile is starting to wane a little bit. He's starting to look a little bit nervous. Is it going to be rainbow bands for Italy? Is it going to be for Belgium? Is there going to be a little bit of a surprise? It's starting to look very, very close between these riders. This is tight. Very, very tight. I didn't know whether it would get to this sort of potential. We knew that Segert was the favourite. It was probably expected that he would just go blitzing along the course and would take this title, but Milesi has given him so much to think about.
Charlton now through the kilometre go banner. Charlton, to be honest now, he's looking to fight for that bronze medal. He needs to beat Mackenzie's time of 43.51 to the top.
Oh, problem. Or is he okay? Looks like he is spinning a little bit early there.
Can't get it in the right gear. You can't get it in.
And Charlton might have some issues here, or is he... It looks like he's looking down at the gear all the time. Is this what he's decided to do? Just put it in a small gear and spin all the way to the top of the climb. It didn't look good there, did it?
No, it really doesn't. He isn't happy with the selection either.
This could cost him the medal here. Josh Charlton of Great Britain spinning his way through that corner there.
He's trying to change gear where he can, but it looks like he can't seem to get it in the gear he wants. He just needs to settle down, ride what he can get out now. But he has just shy of 50 seconds to get to the top of this climb to win himself a bronze medal at the World Championships.
Josh Charlton chasing the time of Milesi. It doesn't look like he is going to beat that time. But he needs to put himself now into position to beat the time of Mackenzie. Otherwise, he's going to end up in fourth place. Josh Charlton of Great Britain has ridden a great time trial, but those gears look like they slipped at the bottom of this climb. Is it going to cost him the medal? Josh Charlton fighting his way into the final rise to the finish. He can see the finish line now, but it's an eternity. Hamish Mackenzie, his time, 43 minutes 51 goes by. It looks like Charlton may well have just seen himself drop out of the medals. the British rider, heading towards the conclusion of this time trial now, fighting for all he is worth. Look at that, in absolute oxygen debt. Josh Charlton is going to finish now with a time that is going to be the 5th fastest time. He falls away, having been in the top 3 all the way through this time trial.
He was there or thereabouts, but it shows how close the battle was for the podium. But it looks like Mackenzie, unless disaster strikes for Sega, will be taking the bronze medal home today. A great ride from the Australian.
Australia have definitely got a medal. Now it's all about this rider, Segert, racing his way in the cobbles. Look at Milesi. It's 15 years since an Italian has won the Under-23 World Time Trial Championship. The last winner was Adriana Malori. As we make our way towards the top of the climb, Segert is fighting for all he is worth. Milesi has produced the most sparkling performance. Alex Segert, the favourite for this time trial. 200 metres to go on the brutal battlefield of the Rise to Stirling Castle. Alex Segert, has he managed to find enough to win this title? He's going to be very, very close. The time is counting down. It's going to be 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Italy have a world champion in Lorenzo Milesi. The first title for Italy in 15 years. Segert now fighting for a medal. Hits the line now, and it's going to be, for the 2nd year running, 2nd place for the Belgian.
Wow, what a ride from Milesi. He went off early in this time trial, and he's sat in that hot seat for a long time now. But I'm sure that all those nerves are now turned into a big smile. He knows he's world champion. But Segert, really close battle. A brilliant ride as well. Silver medal again.
It was a fantastic battle, wasn't it? By the bottom of the climb, Milesi had taken back time and he was 3 seconds ahead. By the top of the climb, he's 11.27 seconds ahead.
We just have 2 riders left on the course.
Segert is absolutely finished. He gave everything. Maybe the pacing strategy just didn't work. We go back through the splits and he was looking perfect all the way along this course. At the first split he was faster by 10 seconds, but then the tables started to turn a little bit. When he got to the 2nd split, things were starting to go wrong for him. Italy have a world champion. Segert fastest through the 1st and 2nd splits, but then the tables turned and this Italian did everything to make it right. He wins the rainbow bands. Fantastic performance by Lorenzo Milesi of Italy. The difference between these 2 riders. Absolutely spent, Alex Segert. The favourite is beaten by the Italian Milesi. Here's the standings at the finish. Lorenzo Milesi of Italy wins in 43 minutes 0046. Segert 11.27 seconds down. Hamish Mackenzie of Australia will take the bronze medal. Very well deserved from him. Again, a rider who rode a very clever pacing strategy all the way through. Here comes the Italian rider, followed by Carl Frederick Bevort. These 2 riders have not really figured in the top places throughout this ride, but they are the last 2 riders to finish. Mackenzie of Australia started steady and worked his way through the field. So Italy take the gold, Belgium take the silver, Australia take the bronze. Bevort finishes now, Olivo finishes as well, and I'm sure he'll be pretty happy for his teammate and countryman who's taken the gold medal this afternoon. Your thoughts on that time trial?
Well, Milesi really set the benchmark early on, but he held on for so long, and we were all waiting for Segert to really show what he had. But Malaysia had that little bit extra, and that final second half of that ride, what a brilliant ride. But also for Hamish Mackenzie, picking up the bronze medal for Australia, a really close battle in those placings behind for that final place on the podium. Recently just signed up as a trainee, as a stagiaire for Jaco Alula, showing the world why, and they've got in early. They've given him that chance, and I'm sure they'll be really happy with that.
Those riders went so early in this time trial. They've been sat there for a long time. We're now at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Hamish Mackenzie went off the start line at 3:07. There's confirmation of the top 10. So Italy, Belgium and Australia take the 1, 2, 3. Behind them, Raul Garcia of Spain. He took 4th place. Darren Rafferty for Ireland, a good performance, finishing 5th. And Josh Charlton of Great Britain in 6th place. Behind them, Söderqvist of Sweden. Logan Curry with a great result in 8th for New Zealand. Jan Christen of Switzerland. And then Michael Leonard of Canada makes up the top 10.
10 different nations in the top 10. Sometimes you don't often see that. You always see strong time trialing nations at the front. But it shows the strength and depth at the moment we have in the under-23 category.
But also maybe a few surprises in that top 10. Milesi was not expected to be the winner of this time trial. Darren Rafferty of Ireland, that's a great performance. Same with Charlton and the Swedish rider Söderqvist as well in the top 10. The other names we know, Logan Curry, Jan Christen, Michael Leonard, Raul Garcia, they're names that we've already come to get to know because they're signing for teams or they've had good performances before.
Definitely Söderqvist. 2nd in the Swedish Time Trial Championships. But we talked about it earlier. This is the shop window. You put yourself on show. You show what you can do to those World Tour teams, continental teams, development teams. And hopefully Söderqvist can really step up now, show the world what you can do.
Marco Velo there on the right-hand side. Former domestique for Marco Pantani, and he is celebrating. What a day for Marco Velo. He looks pretty happy. A gold medal for Italy with Lorenzo Milesi. The Prosecco will be flowing tonight.
But one of the favourites maybe for the road race as well. He can double up. Obviously, riding with that World Tour team, coming back and racing the under-23 time trial. He had some brilliant legs, especially that second half of the ride. He was up early on, but that second half really didn't slow down. Got everything out, and deserved winner. You can see the emotion with the Italians. Always fantastic to see.
Let's hear now from the winner of this time trial, Lorenzo Milesi of Italy.
Well, Lorenzo Milesi, congratulations. You are world champion. Can you believe it?
No, it's unbelievable. Yeah, it was a brutal race, and especially the last K was crazy. It was so painful, and also was really painful to just watch Segard. It was almost all the time close, and yeah, it was crazy.
Today, the secret was to pace yourself and organize yourself and not give everything at the beginning.
Actually, I went full from the start to the end, so I didn't measure so much the power also because there was a headwind in the first part, so it was important to push in the first part. And yeah, I just push all the time, so yeah, I didn't measure so good, just full.
Were you surprised to see the times of Alec Segard, who was in front at the first time check, then dropping down, but still in front of the second one, and then you were in front?
Yeah, during the TT, I just think about him all the time because I know that was the favorite for this race. So every time I was just thinking I need to push full just to stay in front of him, and yeah, it's done.
What went through your mind when you saw him cross the line? You knew you were a world champion. I mean, I suppose it's you're a young man, but you're already a world champion. It must be incredible.
Actually, now I didn't realize so well. So yeah, I need a moment to realize, and yeah, it would be nice. Well, I'm so happy. I'm so happy.
Enjoy the podium. Thank you very much.
A nice interview there from Lorenzo Milesi, the new world champion. First time since Italy won this title in 2008. Adriano Malori, they've won it 3 occasions before, so this is the 4th time they take the title. They won the very first time that this title was won. They won the second one, then it was years before, after that, that Adriano Malori took the title. This is Stirling Castle, which is being refurbished up there on the top, the Royal Palace. This is the University of Stirling. Looking down on that with the modern complex that it is. We're going to have a little think now about the highlights of today's race and how things unfolded. The start of Hamish Mackenzie. A good performance by this rider today. Really settled into his rhythm nice and early, and at the finish line he went into the hot seat with an advantage at that time of 30 seconds on Jan Christen.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Alex Sagat, the race favourite, off the start with real intent. Really looked strong through the first 2 phases of this time trial, catching the rider in front for 1 minute 15 seconds. At the second intermediate split, he was still ahead of Milesi, but after that, he started to lose some ground. Milesi sitting in the hot seat. At the finish line, Alex Sagat didn't have enough left in the tank to beat the Italian Lorenzo Milesi. Silver medal for Belgium this afternoon. This ride was exceptional. Lorenzo Milesi rides for the DSM Firmenich team. Looked good at the start, but he really did measure his performance all the way along this time trial. Nice cadence all the way through. Looked strong, but he saved something for this final climb up to the finish. At the splits, he started to go ahead, but at the finish line, he had enough in hand to beat Sagat. He will be on the podium in a few moments, getting the rainbow bands. He's the world champion of 2023. The celebrations of Italy. A very happy Marco Vello.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the medal ceremony.
We're ready for the medal ceremony of the men's under-23 World Championship time trial. Confirmation there of the results. The medal ceremony of the men's under-23 World Time Trial Championship.
UCI Cycling World Championships Road Men Under-23 Individual Time Trial.
Cérémonie protocolaire des championnats du monde de cyclisme UCI 2023, route contre la montre individuelle en moins de 23 ans.
The medals and jersey will be presented by Dr. Azam, UCI Vice President.
Les médailles et le maillot seront remis par Dr. Azam, le vice-président de l'UCI.
In third place and winner of the bronze medal representing Australia.
À la troisième place, et vainqueur de la médaille de bronze représentant l'Australie,
Hamish Mackenzie.
Australia take the bronze medal with Hamish Mackenzie.
In second place and winner of the silver medal representing Belgium.
À la deuxième place, et vainqueur de la médaille d'argent représentant la Belgique,
Alex Sigart.
Back-to-back silver medals for Alex Sigart of Belgium.
In first place, UCI World Champion and winner of the gold medal representing Italy.
À la première place, champion du monde UCI et gagnant de la médaille d'or représentant l'Italie,
Lorenzo Milesi.
Lorenzo Milesi, gold medalist, world champion. Pulls on the rainbow jersey, gets the gold medal.
Fiona Hislop, MSP, Minister for Transport, Scottish Government.
Les cadeaux seront remis par Madame Fiona Hislop, ministre du Transport du gouvernement écossais.
The mascots presented to the riders. These are now like gold dust.
The Tissot watch will be presented by Dr. Azam, UCI Vice President.
La montre Tissot sera présentée par Dr. Azam.
Special Tito watch to be presented by Dr. Azam to the winner.
Ladies and gentlemen, in honor of our...
And now for the national anthem of Italy.
We present the national anthem of Italy.
Mesdames et messieurs, en l'honneur de notre nouveau champion du monde UCI, nous vous présentons l'hymne national de l'Italie.
Ladies and gentlemen, please, one more time, your applause for our medalists.
Mesdames et messieurs,
There's our podium in the men's under-23 time trial. Hamish Mackenzie, Alex Sigart and Lorenzo Milesi. John, a nice podium. They really did empty the tank to win this time trial this afternoon. But what about their futures? What's next for these three guys?
Yeah, a really big battle. Deserved riders on the podium. and a ride from Malaysia that really showed his class. Part of that DSM World Tour team, like we said before, just come out of the Tour of Poland. Next part of this season, he's really shown what he can do. Hopefully he'll get more opportunities on the biggest stage. But 3 riders really to watch in the future.
Congratulations, guys. Avec nos félicitations.
All of them linked with top teams. So Milesi already with DSM at World Tour level. Sagart with Lotto Destiny. And Hamish Mackenzie already a stagiaire at the team of Jaco Alula, another World Tour team. Last photographs, some painful legs trying to get up from that kneeling down. Lorenzo Milesi has a little bit of signing to do.
Absolutely superb as Lorenzo Champions Rainbow Stripe jersey.
Time to sign the rainbow bands.
Here tomorrow with the Junior Women's Individual Time Trial and the Elite Women's Time Trial.
There we go.
It would be absolutely brilliant if you
And the last photographs before he goes to the press conference and everything else he has to deal with now as a world champion. A reminder of the medal table so far. Great Britain lead with 17 golds. The United States of America riding well with 9 golds in second place. And the Netherlands in third place on 7 golds. Here's the rest of the nations who've won some medals in these special World Championships. Well, thank you to all of you for watching this afternoon. We're going to be back tomorrow with more time trialling the junior women and the elite women. Lorenzo Milesi of Italy wins the under-23 men's world title. From John Mould and me, Anthony McCrossan, thanks for watching. Bye for now.
Well, Hamish Mackenzie, congratulations. Second last year in the junior race, third this year for the under-23. You must be, well, first of all, happy with that performance.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, once again came in with not too many expectations on myself with the category switch, but as always, it's my favourite discipline, and I do put a lot of focus into it. So I wanted to have a good ride, and yeah, I'm really happy with a podium in my first year as a under-23.
Take us through your day. I mean, it was a tough ride, a brutal course.
Yeah, it was a pretty straightforward course to sort of manage the pacing. It was a slight headwind on the way out, so I went out a bit harder and then tried to save a little bit through the middle section, and yeah, tried to up it as much as I could in the last quarter of the course, but yeah, I was pretty empty, and especially that last climb on the cobbles, it was just full gas to the end.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thanks. Now, yeah, you can go to
Alex, is juste un. Well, I guess I got second position, silver medal. Is it disappointment or satisfaction?
Yeah, of course, a bit mixed feelings. I came for the win, but I gave it my all, and I need to be honest, there was one man stronger today, so can't say anything else than I'm proud.
It was essential to pace yourself on this course. We saw that you were in front on the first time checks, and then behind. Are you disappointed by that, or could have you done differently?
I think I started quite hard, but not too extreme. I started ambitious, and I think on a World Championship that's what you need to do. It's true that I was a bit dead in the end, so I hope to have a little bit more in the legs. But yeah, you just have to say that there was one man who had something more in the end, and then he's a deserved winner.
For an answer in Flemish on your performance on that medal.
Ja, aan alle Vlamingen thuis, dikke merci om voor mij te supporteren en zeker al de landlenaren en familie hier in Schotland. Het was de max om jullie erbij te hebben, dat geeft altijd extra motivatie. Op naar volgend jaar, naar Zurich.
Very much. Thanks, Eric. Lorenzo, now you can believe it. You have the medal, you have the jersey. What does that jersey represent for you?
It's a dream. It's incredible. Yeah, I cannot believe but yeah, it's amazing. Just a dream, yeah.
We were speaking to Alec Segert, who was saying that there was a better man today. Can you explain how you paced your efforts throughout this time trial?
Yeah, I had the plan with the team, and yeah, I think it was sweet perfect. And yeah, I just tried to take some power for the last climb, and then I went full gas. But the last 25 meters I had nothing in the legs, just push the bike with everything. Yeah, it works, and yeah, it's amazing.
First jersey for you. You're still a young rider, an under 23. What is your goal in your career? What is your ultimate dream now?
It's hard to say. Yeah, now I have the Vuelta after this, so to do a good result there in some stage, and then yeah, we would see.
Can I ask for an answer in Italian on this performance? I mean, it was almost perfect, and it gives you that jersey.
I need to.
In Italian.
Ok. Ah, sì, è incredibile. Non me l'aspettavo sinceramente. Ho visto tutta la gara di Segert e eravamo lì e quando ho visto che è passata la linea dietro è stato pazzesco.
Grazie. Thank you very much, Lorenzo. See you soon.
It's only sparkling. Open up.
You just couldn't get enough medal?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dit zal was er ohne sparkling. Daar bij de blauwe truc.
Okay. Just hold it there, Lisa, and I'll get the barriers up the way. Okay, swing it round. Centre stage as well.
Yeah, don't worry about that for now. What I would actually do, guys, what I'd actually do is nice, just in case Jen just gets really sick.
Always
Safety
thinking.
first.
Always thinking.
Not just a hat rack.
I've never.
Have you not heard that one before?
Good, mate. Thank you. That's into my repertoire.
Current team representing Great Britain here today, the second of the...
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
And away he goes for Ireland.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
So the jurisdiction stage winner from earlier this year.
The Italian on the...
Three, 2, 1, go!
Dus ik is even omhoog. Ja.
Ja, camera negen. Zeg maar, wat is het voor?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the medal ceremony of the 2023.
Well, Lorenzo Milesi, congratulations. You are world champion. Can you believe it?
No, it's unbelievable. Yeah, it was a brutal race, and especially the last K was crazy. It was so painful, and also was really painful to just watch Segard. It was almost all the time close, and yeah, it was crazy.
Today, the secret was to pace yourself and organize yourself and not give everything at the beginning.
Actually, I went full from the start to the end, so I didn't measure so much the power, also because there was a headwind in the first part, so it was important to push in the first part. And yeah, I just pushed all the time, so yeah, I didn't measure so good, just full.
Glasgow and across Scotland. Mesdames et messieurs, bienvenue à la cérémonie protocolaire des championnats du monde de cyclisme UCI 2023 à Glasgow et à travers l'Écosse. Mesdames et messieurs, veuillez applaudir une dernière fois pour nos médaillés. Hamish Mackenzie, Alex Segard and Lorenzo